Chapter 1. The Berth Before Moving. You are already lying flat. The foam beneath you gives just slightly under your weight, pressing up in a way that is barely a pressure at all, and the sleeping bag pulled to your chin has found its settled heaviness, the warmth inside it gathered from your own body over the minutes you have been here, even incomplete and unlikely to shift. The van is still. The engine idles below the floor in a way that is more vibration than sound. A low, constant tremor moving up through the chassis and into the foam, and arriving at the length of your back as something not quite felt, not quite heard, simply present. Outside, the petrol station forecourt holds itself in amber light. You know it is there without needing to look. The light comes through the edges of the skylight above you and lies gently against the ceiling of the berth, doing nothing in particular, simply present. The skylight is small and rectangular and set directly overhead. Through it, the sky is the particular grey dark of an Icelandic night, not black, not the deep blue of a clear sky, something between the two and softer than either, a luminous dark that seems to hold light rather than absorb it, the kind of dark that a northerly sky carries even in the hours when dark is all there is. You do not move. Your hands are at your sides beneath the sleeping bag, loose and still, and you feel the small weight of them there against the outside of your thighs through the fabric. Not gripped, not reaching, simply resting as hands rest when there is nothing to hold and nothing to reach for. The backs of your knees press down into the foam with an unhurried evenness. The length of your spine receives the mattress below it, and the mattress receives your spine, and the exchange between them is so gradual and so mutual that after a time you cannot quite locate where one ends and the other begins. The overhead berth is narrow. The ceiling of the van is close above you. Not uncomfortably close, only close enough to be present. And the walls of the berth rise gently to either side. And there is something about that enclosure, the fiberglass just above, the fabric rising to either side, the sleeping bag pulled all the way to your chin, that makes the space feel complete, sealed, entirely yours. Then the first drop of rain finds the skylight glass. You see it before you hear it. A small dark bead at the upper edge of the pane, gathering itself, sliding a few millimeters and stopping. Then another appears beside it. The sound that follows is so small it almost belongs to the silence rather than breaking it. One tap, a pause, then one more, each one separate and distinct, each its own brief and unremarkable event. Not rain yet. Just the first arrivals. The amber light from the forecourt catches the edge of each drop as it forms and holds. Your eyes rest upward without any intention of resting there, simply open and receiving what the glass has to offer. Another drop arrives. Then two more in quick succession, and then a pause longer than the ones before, as though the sky is making up its mind. The sleeping bag does not shift. Your breath moves in and out in an easy, uncomplicated way, the air of the van's interior cool and faintly mineral, the particular indoor air of a small sealed space, close and slightly warm and carrying the faint trace of the cold that waits outside, but cannot reach you here. You breathe it in without noticing you breathe it. It is simply the air of here, and it is already familiar. Your back settles, not by any effort. The weight simply finds a fraction more of the foam receives it quietly, and the small adjustment is complete before you are aware it has happened. The warmth inside the sleeping bag continues its steady, unhurried holding, not warming in any active sense, only maintaining what is already gathered there, what has been gathering since you slid in, even and complete from your chest down to your feet. Still slow, still each one its own small tap, a sound and a pause and another sound, but the pauses between them are beginning to shorten, the drops arriving in twos and then threes, accumulating across the pane in a slow and patient way. You do not count them. You simply lie flat in the berth, the sleeping bag at your chin, the grey-dark sky delivering whatever it is going to deliver, drop by drop, while the engine holds its low note below, and the foam holds you, and the amber light rests at the edges of the glass, and everything holds still. Chapter 2. The Road Underfoot. The van eases forward. It is not a sudden thing. There is no lurch, no abrupt departure, only the engine's idle deepening by a fraction, the chassis shifting almost imperceptibly as the wheels find the edge of the forecourt and then the flat asphalt of the road beyond. You feel it before you can name it, a slight change in the texture of the vibration beneath you, the random idle tremor giving way to something more even, more continuous, the first long note of the road beginning to travel upward through the foam. The body does not move through the world here. The world moves beneath the body. That is the thing you feel in the foam under your back, not the sensation of going somewhere, not movement in the sense of effort or intention, but the ground shifting beneath you while you remain entirely still. The road passes under the van's wheels below the floor. The foam receives it and delivers it to the length of your back. A faint, steady vibration, even and without variation, arriving and asking nothing of you in return. You do not need to hold on. The ring road opens beneath the wheels, and the van finds its pace, steadily without haste, the engine settling into a low and continuous drone that you feel more in the backs of your thighs and your hips than you hear through the air. The sound is more of a presence than a sound, a frequency that enters through the body rather than the ears, something constant and undemanding, something that simply continues. Your hands are still at your sides, your shoulders have not moved from where they settled. The rain thickens on the roof, on the fiberglass overhead, the flat ceiling of the berth. The drops are no longer arriving individually. What was a pattern has become a texture, a soft, continuous sound like something being gently settled over the roof, a presence above you that neither rises nor falls, only persists. You hear it with the whole surface of your awareness rather than with any particular attention. The way you hear a sound that has been going long enough to become simply the condition of the room. The engine drone below, the rain above, the warmth between them. The van is not going fast. It cannot be. The dark ring road in the rain is a road that asks for patience, and the engine's note stays level, the pace stays even, and the vibration in the foam stays constant. The same faint tremor it has been since the first stretch of asphalt. There is no urgency in the motion. Stays in the motion. There is only the motion itself, arriving and arriving. Your back presses into the foam with the same quiet insistence it has had since before the van moved, and the foam continues its patient acceptance. The tremor from the road arrives in the backs of your thighs as a barely there sensation, something at the very edge of what can be felt, something you could ignore, and perhaps you nearly are ignoring it, something that asks only to be received. The sleeping bag holds its warmth across your chest. The ceiling is close above. The dark beyond the skylight is the same grey dark it has been, unchanged by the motion. A northerly sky that has its own relationship with dark and does not require the van to be still to hold it. There is warmth inside the sleeping bag, and it has been there since before the journey began, and it is still there now, unaltered by the road or the rain, gathered evenly from your chest down to your feet, present without drawing attention to itself. Your breath moves in and out at its own unhurried pace. The air inside the berth has the same faint mineral coolness as before, maybe very slightly more of it now that the van is moving. But the sleeping bag holds all the warmth you have generated since you settled, and the cold outside is simply the condition of outside, which is not here. The road hums below. The rain speaks against the roof in its soft and continuous way, a sound without beginning or edge, simply present. The engine's low note does not vary. The tremor in the foam does not vary. Outside, the dark Icelandic landscape passes beneath the rain in a way you cannot see and do not need to see, and the van moves through it, and you are carried along without carrying yourself at all. Still, motion, rain, warmth, dark. Chapter 3. The heater rising. The warmth comes from below, not as a rush or a sudden change, as something slow and patient, warm air rising from the cab through the gap where the sleeping space begins, spreading along the base of the foam, lifting gently into the still air where you lie. You have not been tracking it. It has no single moment of arrival that you can name. It has simply been there, building degree by unhurried degree, while your attention was somewhere else or was nowhere at all, until the air around you is warmer than it was, and the foam beneath you holds your body's heat back against you, rather than drawing it away. You feel this warmth along your back, along your sides, against your chin. Above you at the rim of the skylight's glass, there is a thin cold, just a trace of it, the night air of Iceland pressing against the outside surface and leaving its mark at the inner edge. It stays at the very boundary, the outermost edge of the space, and because it is there, because you can sense it at the perimeter, the warmth inside the sleeping bag feels more complete by contrast, more gathered together, as though the cold at the glass has concentrated the warmth toward the center where you are, making it more entire than it would seem without that thin cold rim to define it. The warmth is all the way through you. The cold is only at the very edge. Your shoulders have eased. You are not sure when this happened. The muscles across the tops of your shoulders, which hold a low readiness without being asked, against an adjustment, against a need to shift, have released it, flattened, settled back into the foam. The space between your shoulder blades is broad and easy. The weight of your upper back is distributed across the surface evenly, without any part of it held away from the rest. Your lower back lies flat. Your arms are still. Inside the sleeping bag, your hands rest in the warmth that has accumulated there. Not the warmth the bag was carrying when you first lay down. That has been replaced, slowly, by something richer. A temperature that belongs equally to the bag and to you, the two having been together long enough that their heat has merged. The lining is smooth against your knuckles. Your fingers are not quite curled. There is a very faint pressure where your palm rests against the inner surface, and this is the full extent of the sensation. Nothing sharp, nothing demanding, only the quiet fact of contact at a temperature that has become entirely your own. You breathe, and the air that comes in is warm. Your chest rises, and the sleeping bag moves with it, and then your chest falls, and the bag settles back. The rain on the roof continues its soft and even rushing. It has been present so long, so steadily, that it has joined the quality of the silence beneath it, a texture rather than a sound, a thing that is simply part of what here is. The engine's low note does not vary. The tremor in the foam does not vary. The dark Icelandic landscape continues beyond the walls of the van, rain-soaked and invisible, moving past in the way that a landscape at night moves past something traveling through it, which is to say, you are the thing that moves. And the landscape simply is, and its simply being there is not something that requires your participation. The heater does its quiet work below. Warm air continues to rise and gather. The chill at the glass stays at the glass. Your shoulders remain easy. Your lower back remains flat. The muscles across the tops of your arms, the ones along your jaw, the small muscles behind your eyes, All of them have found, without announcement, the place they arrive at when there is nothing left to prepare for. The foam holds your weight. The sleeping bag holds your warmth. Your breath goes out, slowly, longer than it came in, and as the air leaves your chest, settles a fraction lower, and the bag settles with it, and the warmth inside shifts a small amount and then returns. Outside, the rain falls. Between the two, the cold night and the warm interior, there is the glass and the thin chill at its rim, and the simple, unhurried fact of being on the warm side of it, still. Warm. Moving without moving at all. Chapter 4. Raindrops on the skylight. The sound of rain on fiberglass is its own particular thing. Denser than rain on canvas, more solid than rain on glass. A rushing that fills the entire overhead panel at once rather than gathering at any single point. You have been hearing it since before you lay down, since before you arranged the sleeping bag and settled your weight back into the foam. It was there through all of that, and it is here now, and it has not changed. Not in its rhythm, not in its weight. A continuous and even sound that has become indistinguishable from the silence beneath it, part of what here simply is. The sleeping bag is warm, within the sound, just at its outer surface, just inside the edge of it, something moves. The suggestion of individual arrivals, separate drops, briefly distinguishable within the general rushing, a faint differentiation of texture inside the texture before the rushing absorbs them back and they are no longer separate. You become aware of them without trying. There is a moment in which the dense and even sound seems to carry a slight grain, the almost perceptible coming and going of distinct drops, and then the moment passes and there is only the rushing again, seamless and whole. There is no need to find them. Above you, through the skylight, the rain is on the glass. The panel shows a pale grey, the faint ambient glow of an Icelandic night pressing through cloud and rain, enough to make the surface visible, enough to distinguish glass from the dimness inside the van. Not enough to see anything clearly. Only the glass, framed in its narrow rectangle, and across it, water moving. A drop arrives and strikes the surface. For a moment it is nearly still, flattened against the glass. Then the van's forward motion finds it and draws it sideways, pulls it in a slow diagonal, and it tracks across the glass in a line that curves slightly as it goes, before it reaches the far edge of the frame and vanishes. Another arrives. Its path begins near where the last one ended, and diverges almost immediately, curving differently, crossing a different portion of the glass before it disappears at the frame in its own time. You watch this without effort. Your eyes are open and the glass is above you and the drops are crossing it. Nothing more is required of you than this. No pattern to locate, no destination to anticipate. The drops come and move and reach the edge and are gone. Others arrive behind them. Each takes a slightly different path and disappears in its own time. And then there is another, and the rain continues and the glass holds its pale grey. You have been in it long enough that it is no longer a sensation you notice. It has become the condition of being here, an ambient fact, the way the sound of the rain is an ambient fact, the way the motion of the van is. These things are not separate anymore. They are simply what being here feels like. You do not control it. Your chest rises and falls on its own, and the sleeping bag rises and falls with it, and the warmth inside shifts a very small amount with each breath, and then returns. Rain arrives on the glass and moves across it in its slow diagonal and disappears. More rain arrives. The paths cross and diverge, each drop tracing its own particular route from arrival to the edge where the glass ends. Your attention receives this without holding it. You are watching, and you are also not quite watching. Your eyes open, the drops crossing the glass. The distinction between observing and simply being present in the same space as the drops becoming smaller and quieter and less clear. A drop arrives near the center of the glass and catches a little of the pale light before it begins to move. A slow curve toward the frame, its path bending slightly as the van moves. You see it. You do not follow it. It reaches the edge. Another arrives and moves and reaches the edge, and the rain continues, and the glass holds its faint grey, and you are warm and still, looking up without quite looking. Your breath goes in, your breath goes out. The van moves forward through the dark, and the rain continues on the roof and on the glass, and the drops cross the skylight in their slow and diverging paths, arriving and disappearing, arriving and disappearing. And you are here in the warm and the still, present in the way you are present just before you are no longer present at all. Chapter 5. The engine below, the van moves. And beneath the mattress, beneath the foam that has been slowly and continuously receiving you since the journey began, beneath the floor of this small and enclosed berth, there is the engine. You were aware of it earlier, at some point before the skylight drew your attention upward, before the drops began their slow crossing of the glass. The engine was part of the general background of the night, one thing among several. But now, in this particular stillness, it has come forward in a different way, not louder, not more insistent, simply more available to you, because you are more still than you were, and still things receive the world differently than moving ones do. A low and constant hum. It sits somewhere below the floor, below the entire structure of the berth, and it comes up through the floor and through the foam and into the back of your body as a vibration. Very fine, very continuous, too steady to be anything but the machine below running at its steady speed. Not intrusive. Not mechanical in the way that demands acknowledgement. An even note held without variation, asking nothing at all of you. You feel it through the mattress first, and then you hear it, or they arrive together. It is difficult to separate them now. The vibration is in your shoulders, which are resting wide and low against the foam. It is in your spine, received along its full length. The long muscles of your lower back, which sometimes hold the residual quality even after the rest of you has let go, have softened into the mattress under the influence of this constancy, a degree at a time, without any decision from you. Still, things tend to release eventually. The engine below has made it easier. The road outside continues without variation. The ring road in October, in the dark, does not turn. It does not climb or descend in any way worth noting. It simply extends forward through the flat and open landscape with the rain falling on it, and the van follows it at its unchanged speed, and the engine below you holds its unchanged note, and together they make a kind of constancy that is not quite silence but that functions the same way, the sound of motion continuing without your participation. You are not going anywhere. Or rather, you are going, but not through any effort of your own. The forward motion belongs to the road and the wheels and the rain, dark tarmac somewhere below the berth's floor, and you are simply here inside it, carried through the night without having to navigate or decide or maintain anything at all. Your body has been sinking into the foam. Each small giving over happened below any threshold you could track. The foam works in degrees too fine to notice individually, and yet the sum of all those degrees has left you considerably lower than you were when you first lay down. Your shoulders are wider against the surface now. Your hips have settled. The small of your back has found the foam's contour and released into it, no longer holding itself at any distance from the surface beneath. The sleeping bag is heavier than when you first pulled it over you. This is the effect of warmth and stillness working together. Weight seems to increase as resistance decreases, the body settling further toward the surface and the surface rising to meet the settling, so that the cover and the foam press gently toward each other with your warmth contained between them. You feel the weight of the sleeping bag across your chest, distributed and even. Along your legs, following their length without any pressure that asks anything of you. Along your arms, where they rest at your sides, your fingers loosely curled, your wrists soft. The warmth inside the sleeping bag is complete, not arriving anymore. Simply the condition of the air inside this small enclosed space, indistinguishable from your own warmth now, the berth and your body sharing the same temperature in the way things do when they have been together long enough. The engine continues below. Its note has not changed and will not change. A low, even drone, a vibration and a sound at once, both steady, both undemanding. The berth rests on it, the way a boat rests on a slow, deep current, carried forward without effort, the motion entirely belonging to something else, requiring nothing of the person lying still in the warm interior above. The rain falls on the roof, softly, with the same gentle and even persistence it has had since the journey began, merged now so completely with the engine below that the two of them form a single ambient layer. The sound the air has in this berth, the sound this particular night is made of. You are warm, and the foam holds you, and the engine continues its low note below the floor, and your breath moves in and then out, and you are here. Chapter 6. Grey Sky, Moving Rain. The skylight is there when you look at it. You did not decide to look. Your attention drifted upward in the gradual and purposeless way that attention drifts when the body has given up most of its held ness, not toward anything you expected to find, not in response to any sound or movement, simply because your eyes opened a little, and the skylight was above you, and the grey was through the glass. The same uniform, soft darkness that the Icelandic October sky carries at this hour, at this latitude, when the clouds are low and full and the last faint light from the road has long since given way to no light at all. Nothing about the grey has changed. It is not threatening, it is not illuminated. It does not have depth or layers from this angle, in this light. It is simply a surface, close and even and completely indifferent to what lies below it. The colour of a night that has absorbed all other colours and returned them as one quiet, undivided tone. You could try to locate something in it, a gradation, a lighter edge, a place where the clouds are thinner, but there is nothing, and after a moment you stop looking for anything, and the grey simply is. There and unchanged, holding the glass from the other side. A raindrop appears at one edge of the frame, small and distinct. It arrives without announcement at the corner of the glass and begins to move, slowly, with a wandering and unhurried progress that follows no particular line, water finding its path down a surface by the only method available to it, which is the path of least resistance, and that path is never straight. It gathers a small weight at its lower edge. Then it continues, or it divides. You are not quite certain which, sending a thin thread one way and a finer one another, each taking its own separate course across the glass, neither of them following the other, both of them ending quietly at the frame. Another drop arrives from a different edge. You watch it without trying to predict where it will go. It takes a path entirely unlike the first. Not parallel, not following any trace the first one left. It has its own particular wandering, its own brief and unrepeatable line across the glass. There is no pattern to anticipate. There is only the glass and the drop and the slight vibration of the engine below, moving through everything in the berth, the mattress and the foam and the glass in its frame, and the drop traces its wandering line and divides and is gone, and another is already arriving somewhere else. There is no pattern and no need for one. This is the quality of the thing your attention rests on without quite knowing why. Not that the drops are interesting in the way that interesting things are, not that each new path tells you something the last one did not, but simply that there is always another one, always arriving, always taking a different line, always ending in the same quiet way at the edge of the frame. You are not watching for anything. You are not waiting for anything to happen. You are here in the warm interior of the berth, with the grey above the glass and the drops moving across it one by one. The rain continues on the roof. The same even, gentle sound it has been making for the whole of this journey, merged so completely now with the low hum of the engine below that the two of them have become a single thing. The ambient sound of the night, the sound the air has inside this small enclosed berth. They are simply present. Above and below, the rain and the engine, and you between them in the warmth, and the warmth has not changed. The sleeping bag is still warm, still weighted across your chest and your legs and your arms in the same distributed, settled way it has been for a long time now. Nothing about the weight has shifted. The foam beneath you is still soft, still accommodating the shape of your body without any particular effort, still simply here. The berth is exactly what it was when your attention moved away from it toward the glass, exactly as enclosed, exactly as still. Without the drop crosses the glass, slowly, then faster near the end, then gone. The grey sky holds everything the same. Your breath moves in, slowly and out. The rain arrives and crosses and disappears, and more arrives, and there is no pattern, and there is no need for one, and the engine hums below, and the grey is above the glass, and you are warm, and you are here, and you are still, and the drops continue their small, unremarkable crossings, one after another in the quiet. Chapter 7. The Weight of Everything. The rain is still there, still arriving at the glass above you in its slow, unremarkable way, still crossing the surface in small diagonals, dissolving before it reaches the edge of the frame, and being replaced by others just like it. You hear it the way you hear the engine below, not as something requiring attention, just as the texture of the air around you, a texture that has not changed and is not going to change. The grey light sits on the inside of your closed eyelids, cool and diffuse and entirely still. And without any searching, without deciding anything, your attention begins to turn inward. You become aware, all at once, of the weight of the sleeping bag across you, not as a thought, just as presence, the way a familiar sound becomes obvious only once you finally hear it. The sleeping bag rests across your chest, your shoulders, the upper length of your arms, the wide, flat space of your middle. Its weight is even, not pressing, not heavy, simply there, a soft and settled fact of the moment. And inside it, between the bag and your body, the warmth that has been building since you first climbed in and pulled it up is entirely your own by now, complete and familiar, no longer climbing towards something but simply arrived. Beneath you, the foam of the berth. Softer at the shoulders, where it gives a little under the weight of them. Firmer at the hollow of your lower back, where your spine lifts a little from the surface in its natural curve. At your hips, the foam presses backward just enough to hold. The foam has been there the whole time. You were watching the rain, and the rain was crossing the glass, and below you the berth was receiving the full weight of you without asking to be noticed for it. Further down, your heels, a soft pressure, easy and grounded. The backs of your calves rest against the fabric below them, They are not holding anything. You did not know that until just now, that they were already not holding anything, already resting, already done with the day. This is where your attention arrives, at the soles of your feet, not because you sent it there, simply because that is where it lands, the way a stone settles to the bottom of still water without choosing a direction. The soles of your feet inside the sleeping bag warm. The warmth has been there a long time without your knowing it. It pooled there quietly while your eyes were following the drops across the glass, while the engine was humming and the grey sky was holding everything the same outside. And now you are in it, in the soles of your feet, in the warmth that fills the base of the bag, and the warmth is full and unhurried and entirely at ease. The ball of each foot, the arch, the heel, your toes are soft, uncurled. Nothing asks them to grip or brace or hold themselves ready for anything. They are simply there, loose and warm, inside the bag, and the warmth holds them and the bag holds the warmth, and you are inside all of it together without needing to move or do or be anything other than what you already are. There is something almost worth noticing in how thoroughly the feet have released, how all the small tensions and readiness that a foot carries through a day have simply dissolved into the warmth at some point you did not mark. Dissolved while your attention was on other things, and the feet have been empty of all that for a while now without your knowing. The rain crosses the glass. One drop, a long pause, then another. There is a heaviness at the base of your body that is not uncomfortable. It is the heaviness of stillness, of warmth that has had time to cool and settle, of a place that has been undisturbed long enough to grow easy and grounded and full. It sits at the soles of your feet and rests there without going anywhere. The sleeping bag holds you from above. The foam holds you from below. The warmth has gathered in the space between. The engine hums, unchanged, low and even and continuous. You are at the base of everything right now, in the warmth, in the soles of your feet, in the stillness that has been building slowly since the moment the Berth first received you, and the sleeping bag settled around you, and the grey sky began its slow passage across the glass above. There is nothing to do with any of this. It is simply what is here. Chapter 8. From the feet upward. Warmth is at the soles of your feet. It has been there for some time, and your attention is there too, resting in the low quiet of it. And slowly, without hurrying, without deciding, your attention begins to move. Not far, only to the next place. The ankles, soft and still. You feel them, or rather you feel the warmth sitting inside them, held by the bag on all sides, the same warmth that pools at the soles, but extended now up through the ankle joint, the small bones quiet, the tendons at rest, nothing braced, nothing poised. The ankle is just here, warm and unoccupied. You can hear it above, at the glass, soft and irregular and entirely unchanged. It is not going anywhere. It has been crossing the glass this whole time, and will continue to do so after your attention has moved on, and that is fine. That is as it should be, up through the calves now, the back of each calf resting against the foam below, against the fabric of the sleeping bag. There is a soft pressure there that you did not notice before, the weight of your calves meeting the surface, easy and spread and unhurried. The muscle of each calf is not held, it rests. It has been resting for a long time, longer than you would have guessed, and your attention finds it already soft, already given over to the weight of the night. A release in each calf as you notice it. Not a dramatic release. There is nothing dramatic here, nothing urgent, nothing that requires any effort. Just the slight softening that happens when something held at a low level, barely held, barely noticed, is finally fully let go. The calves grow a little heavier against the surface, a little more settled, a little more given, the backs of the knees. There is a small space there, a slight lift of the leg from the surface, and the sleeping bag rests over the outside of the knee, and the warmth reaches in behind it. The backs of your knees soft. The small tendons behind each knee unclenched and still. Not working, not waiting. Just present in the warmth, the way everything else is present in the warmth. Quietly, without a task. The rain on the glass. The engine below, humming along its steady continuous note. You are moving upward through yourself in no particular hurry, following warmth through the length of your legs, and the warmth follows right behind your attention, or maybe your attention follows the warmth. It is difficult to say which direction leads and which follows, and it does not matter. What is happening is simply this. You are here, and the warmth is here, and the movement through your legs is slow and without any sense of destination. The thighs now, the long muscles of the thighs resting against the surface below them. They are heavier than you expected. You did not realize how much weight is in a thigh until your attention arrives there and finds it pressing gently down into the foam, the full length of it, easy. The right thigh resting, the left thigh resting. Heavy in the unhurried way a coat feels when it is warm and you have been wearing it a long time. A little softening as you notice. A little more given to the surface. A little more of the held things let down. The warmth rises through the same path your attention traveled. From the soles of the feet, up through the ankles, up through the calves, and past the backs of the knees and into the length of the thighs. By the time your attention arrives anywhere, the warmth is already there, already full, already at rest. Then the hips. The place where the hips meet the mattress. Broad, settled pressure, not a point of weight, but a wide, even resting. The hips, the pelvis, the wide base of the torso, all of it sinking gently into the foam below, and the foam receiving it without effort, and the sleeping bag resting above, and nothing between you and the berth but warmth and the slight give of the material, and the dark and the hum of the engine and the rain, still crossing the glass above in its small, unremarkable way. The hips sink a little more, just slightly. A release you were not expecting. The body finding one more fraction of rest it had been holding quietly in reserve. The engine runs. The rain crosses the glass. The grey outside is the same grey it has been. From the soles of your feet all the way to the hips, the warmth has moved upward, and the held things have followed it out, and the lower half of you rests now, easy and heavy and released, in the dark of the berth, in the warmth of the bag, in the quiet of the moving coach. Chapter 9. The chest, the shoulders. The warmth that moved through the lower half of you is still present. It has not lessened. It has only settled. The way something left to rest slowly finds its natural level, distributing itself without hurry through all the places it has reached. Not pooling anywhere in particular, not rushing anywhere. Simply there, as it has been for a while now, as it will continue to be. The sleeping bag rests across your chest. You feel its weight more than its texture. A weight that is easy, a weight that makes no demands. With each breath, slow and arriving of its own accord, not chosen, not shaped by any intention, The bag lifts by the smallest fraction. Less a movement than a shift in quality, a slight change in the pressure along the sternum and the ribs, and then the breath leaves and the bag settles back, and the chest settles with it, and the warmth is there again, undisturbed. This is all that is happening. Breath arrives. Breath departs. You do not call it, and you do not release it. It moves through you because bodies move air, because this has always been true, because it will continue long after you have stopped attending to it. The rain continues above on the fiberglass roof. The engine continues below the floor. The breath continues here in the still center of you, all of them moving at their own steady pace through the Icelandic dark, none of them requiring anything of you. You do not need to move. You find the left shoulder by attending, not reaching for it, only turning awareness there, the way you might notice the sound you had stopped hearing. And when you arrive there, you find a small tension, old and habitual, the kind that has been present so long it ceased to announce itself. You name it now, and in the naming it releases. Not suddenly. The foam beneath that shoulder takes a fraction more of your weight. The bag settles a little more flatly across it. The shoulder drops very slowly into the mattress, and the mattress receives it without complaint, without any change in its steadiness. Then the right. A moment passes. Unhurried, quiet, and then the right shoulder follows, at its own pace, in its own time. The same small release. Without Heim. The berth seems somehow wider around you, though nothing has moved, nothing has shifted, but this softening that has moved through you. Both shoulders rest now, both heavy, both done with holding. The warmth from below has arrived at the center of you, in the ribs, in the sternum, in the hollow of the chest where breath gathers before it rises. You feel it not as heat, but as the absence of effort. A distributed ease through the whole chest, as though the body has remembered it, does not need to brace against anything. The breath passes through without friction, in, and the chest lifts a degree, barely, the bag lifting with it. Out, and both settle, and the warmth is there waiting, unchanged. Your arms rest at your sides. You have nearly forgotten them. They are where they have always been tonight, and they require no adjustment. No better arrangement exists. They are simply here, part of the still weight of you against the foam. The air inside the berth is warm and slightly close. The faint scent of the sleeping bag and your own gathered heat together, familiar already, the way a room becomes its own kind of familiar within the first minutes of lying in it. You breathe it in, slow and without intention. The air is the same temperature as the warmth in the bag. You cannot find the boundary between inside and outside you. There may not be one anymore. The dark of the skylight above is where it has always been. The rain crosses it, continuous and even, carrying on out there while everything in here remains still. You notice it without effort, a small readiness at the hinge, both sides, something held that releases now as you find it. The muscles there grow quiet and do not return to holding. The lower jaw settles a fraction. This is the last held thing, releasing. The eyes are still. The brow is smooth and still. The face, aimed gently upward at the dark glass, holds no expression. There is nothing to express, nothing to meet, nothing to prepare for. From the distant warmth of the feet, already forgotten, already somewhere below and still, all the way to the quiet geography of the face and the jaw and the closed and resting eyes, the chest rises slowly. The chest falls, rain above, engine below, the steady, faint tremor of a road you cannot see. You are not waiting for anything. You are here. Chapter 10. Just the rain. There is rain on the fiberglass above you. There has been rain on the fiberglass above you for a long time now, and you have come to know it the way you come to know the sounds of a place you sleep in, often. Not by listening, but by the fact of it being there, continuous, unremarkable, requiring nothing from you. It is simply there, holding you above the road, carrying you forward through the dark at a pace that is none of your concern. The warmth is even throughout the body, in the chest, still slow with its breathing, in the shoulders, wide and settled and released. In the hands, the fingers loose, resting in the way that things rest when they have nothing left to hold. In the long warmth of the legs already somewhere below and still. The warmth does not make itself known with any particular temperature now. It is simply the quality of being inside, of being surrounded, of having come to rest completely within what surrounds you. You are being carried. The van carries you. The road carries the van. The dark holds the road and the rain falls on all of it. On the fiberglass above, on the ring road somewhere below the floor, on the lava fields and the black gravel and the still water of places you cannot see and have no need to see. The rain falls because the sky has something to release, and it releases it without urgency, without any sound worth attending to. It crosses the glass above you and it is gone, and more comes behind it. And this has been true for as long as you have been lying here. The breath is slow, slower now than it was a little while ago. You do not choose its pace. It arrives from somewhere below intention, from the same deep place the warmth arrived, simply there, simply moving, simply continuing. There is no landscape outside the skylight to follow. The ring road runs through the Icelandic night, and for long stretches there is nothing beside it. No light from a farmhouse, no illuminated edge of a town, only the dark and the rain and the road and the van moving forward through all of it. You know this without attending to it. Nothing out there requires your witness. What is here is here. The rain above, the engine below, the warmth in the bag, undifferentiated now, the hands and the chest and the long warmth of the legs all belonging to the same quality of rest. The boundary between one part of you and the next already soft and unclear. The engine below the floor is a foundation. A low sound that is also a feeling, a slight aliveness in the mattress. The road translated through layers of metal and foam until it arrives at you as almost nothing. A whisper of motion. A reminder that forward is happening and you need have no part in it. Rain on the fiberglass. Always. Engine below the floor, always. The warm and still dark of the berth, always, while the van moves through the night. You are warm from the face to the feet, one continuous warmth, even and complete. The face and the chest and the hands and the feet all held inside the same stillness, all resting in the same quality of ease, none of them asking anything of you or of each other. The rain falls on the ring road outside. The ring road goes on through the dark. You are inside all of it, inside the van, inside the warmth, inside the quiet. And there is nothing out there that needs your witness, and nothing in here that asks for your attention. The rain continues. The engine continues. The warmth continues even and still, all the way through you, from the weight of the feet to the still and quiet face. And you are here, and you are warm, and these things, the rain, the warmth, the low sound somewhere below, will still be here, unchanged and continuing, long after there is no longer any part of you still listening. The rain, softly, always. Chapter 11. Almost still. The rain is still there. You are aware of this, or you are something close to aware, a soft and unhurried registration that requires nothing from you to sustain itself. The sound arrives and is received without effort, without the small internal turning that listening usually requires, and then it continues. and you do not have to do anything at all for it to go on. The engine is there beneath everything. It is a feeling now, something that moves through the surface below you and through the surface of you, a low and even pulse that has grown difficult to locate in any particular place. It is present the way warmth is present, not on you, not beneath you, but simply distributed everywhere at once without emphasis or boundary. Your hands are somewhere. You are not certain precisely where, and this requires no adjustment. They are warm and still, and they have been still long enough that what separates hand from blanket from foam has grown imprecise. You are not holding anything. You are simply part of what is here. The same is true of your shoulders. They exist somewhere below your awareness, not requiring monitoring, not asking anything of you at all. The weight breathes, slowly, and then slowly again. You are not directing the breathing. It is happening the way the rain is happening, without instruction, without effort, continuing at its own pace. The rain continues. Your feet are there at some distance. They are warm. They have not needed anything for a long time now, and this seems entirely right, and you do not reach for them with your attention. The skylight above you is dark, a rectangle of soft grey glass, and on it the rain crosses in lines that carry no urgency and require no tracking. You are not watching it anymore. You are aware of it the way you are aware of the warmth, as a settled fact, a thing that is present and ongoing, not as something asking anything of your eyes. Your legs are long and quiet somewhere below. You are not monitoring them. They have been fine for some time, and they continue to be fine, resting in the warmth without tension, without purpose, simply occupying this space the way all things in this space occupy it, without announcement. You are not aware of the exact transition between those two things. There is no gap that feels like a gap, just the slow rise, and then the slow return, and then a pause that has no particular edge to it, no urgency at all. Everything has settled. The back of your neck is warm and lightly heavy. The curve of your back has found the foam, or the foam has found the curve of your back, and the difference between those two things has grown unimportant, and you stop considering it. The rain is present. The engine is present in the low and even way it has always been, deep in the surface below, deep in the road continuing into the Icelandic dark. The van moves forward. You know this as a fact. You do not feel it as motion anymore, or not as motion that means anything, because motion has become part of everything else, part of the warmth, part of the low and distant vibration, part of the weight of you lying here. All of it, one thing now, all indistinct, all simply here. The rain, your breathing, slow, and then slower still. Not measured, not monitored. Just happening the way the engine happens, the way the rain happens, present without requiring your attention, continuing without your direction. The small muscles across your forehead have been quiet for a long time. The jaw is loose, settled at rest. The space behind your eyes is dark and entirely still, and there is nothing there asking for your attention, and you give it none, and this is not emptiness. This is what is here. The warmth continues, not felt as heat now, not felt as belonging to any particular place, just present in the way that all the facts of this space are present. The dark, the low sound, the rain, the moving road below, none of them asking anything, all of them simply true. The engine goes on, deep below, in the surface, in the road. You are still. Chapter 12, The Dark Beyond. Above you, the rain falls on glass. It is there soft and even, the way it has been all along, the way it was before you began listening to anything at all, and the way it will continue to be when listening has grown too thin to reach it. It falls. It crosses the glass. It is quiet, and it is present, and it requires nothing from you. The engine is below. Low. A vibration more than a sound now, something that lives in the surface beneath you, in the floor, in the road, somewhere beneath the floor, part of the fabric of this place in the same way the dark is, part of the fabric of this place, there without comment, there without requiring acknowledgement. The van moves. The road continues, dark and long, somewhere below everything, carrying the van forward into the night. You do not need to know where the road leads. You do not need to know anything about it at all. It is simply there, and the van is on it, and you are in the van, and the night is outside, and none of this requires your attention. The warmth is here. It does not ask to be felt. It is not located in any particular part of you, not in the hands, not in the feet, not in the chest or the back or the neck. It is simply a quality of the air, a quality of the space, of the blanket and the foam and the enclosed glass and the low heat that has gathered here over this long time, all of it one ambient fact about this place. Your breathing is slow. The chest rises by a small and easy amount, and then it rests, and then it rises again at its own pace, in its own time, in the same way that the rain falls at its own pace and the van moves at its own pace, without instruction from any part of you, simply happening. The skylight above is dark. A rectangle of grey glass, soft and still with rain on it. Lines of rain cross from one edge to the other, slowly, or seeming to move slowly, or the part of you that would measure their speed has grown very quiet now, and so there is nothing left to say about slowness or speed, and the rain crosses the glass, and that is all. You are somewhere below it. You have been here a long time. The foam carries the weight of you without effort, and the blanket lies across you without weight, and the glass holds the rain above, and all of these things are simply doing what they do, quietly, without requiring your participation. Warm, still. Low and even and always, deep in the floor, deep in the road that carries the van through the Icelandic night without urgency, without arrival that matters, without asking anything of the person lying still and warm in the berth above. The rain. There was nothing a moment ago, and there continues to be nothing, and this is not absence. This is the quality of this place. And moving softly through the night, your chest rises, slowly and settles, and is still for a moment, a pause between one breath and the next that has no edge to it, no particular beginning or end. The rain falls on the glass above. You receive this as a fact, or you received it a moment ago, and the receiving has grown very light now, very far toward the edge of whatever receiving is. Not held. Not marked, just present, the way warmth is present, the way dark is present, unchanged, and asking nothing, the skylight above. Dark and soft, crossed with rain. The engine below, steady, even, unchanged. The warmth throughout, not felt as warmth now, not felt as anything in particular, simply the undifferentiated quality of this space, this enclosed and moving and rain-washed space, where you are still and warm and very far past the point where any description could reach you. The road continuing. The rain on the glass above, crossing from one edge to the other in lines that no part of you is following now, because the part that would follow has grown very quiet and very still, and has let the lines go, and has let the warmth be the warmth, and the dark be the dark, and the engine run, and the road continue into the Icelandic night without you, continuing quietly, without end. Something shifts, barely perceptible. A small weight of warmth settles through you, the blanket, the berth, the low hum of the engine carrying the dark forward. You have not gone anywhere, and yet there is a feeling of arriving somewhere softer, somewhere quieter than before. Without deciding to, you have turned. Your cheek finds the cushion, and your face is closer now to the little window, the curtain half drawn, the glass cool and rain-threaded at the edge of your sight. Through it. Chapter 1. The Side Window. Your cheek rests against the cool edge of the pillow, not the center, the edge, where the fabric is folded slightly on itself and holds a thin strip of coolness against your skin, and that coolness is the first thing you are aware of, quietly and without effort. The berth is narrow. The ceiling is close. You can feel the shape of the space without looking at it, that particular quality that enclosed places have when they are exactly the right size, pressing gently from all sides without pressing at all, the van gathered around you, the walls of the berth doing what close walls do when closeness and safety are the same thing. You are on your side. The window is there. It is small and rectangular, set into the wall of the berth at almost exactly eye level when you are lying as you are, and across its surface, in slow diagonal lines, the rain is moving. Not falling straight, but carried sideways by some current you cannot feel in here. Each streak drawn from somewhere above the upper edge of the glass all the way to the lower frame, tracing its long diagonal and then gone, replaced by another, beginning somewhere near the top and making its own slow crossing. They do not move at the same pace. Some cross the glass more quickly, catching more of the road light from below, and some are slower, more deliberate in their crossing, and you do not prefer one kind over the other. You simply see them the way you see something that is happening inside your field of vision without any real intention to look. The rain working at the glass, and your eyes present in front of it, and neither one asking anything of the other. A road light passes below. The rain streaks go pale and briefly sharp, every one of them suddenly visible where before they had been barely there. The whole rectangle of the window holding a wash of amber for a moment, and then the light moves on, and the amber fades, and the glass returns to its darker, softer self, and the next streak begins somewhere above. The van has been moving for some time. You know this not because you have tracked it or counted anything, but because the knowing has settled into you over the last long stretch of road, the way warmth settles gradually into a room, not with any particular moment of arrival, just present now, absorbed now, already ordinary. The road beneath you has been passing without event. The engine's low and steady sound has been there long enough that it has stopped being a sound you notice, becoming instead part of what the quiet of this space sounds like, the particular hum and light vibration that the berth translates, over time, into its own kind of stillness. The cool edge of the pillow, still there at your cheek. You breathe, and the warmth of your breath comes back to you from the small space between your face and the pillow fabric, a comfortable warmth, the kind that has already been there long enough to belong to the berth, the kind that your own stillness has been building slowly over the last stretch of road. Your shoulder presses gently into the mattress. Your hip does the same, a little further down, and the slight pressure of each is not something you would call discomfort. It is simply the fact of where you are, the body having found its arrangement in the narrow space and stayed with it. The blanket lies across your shoulder and along the curve of your side, its weight even and unremarkable, already absorbed into the general warmth. Another road light passes. The window brightens again. The rain streaks pale and briefly distinct, each one drawn in its long diagonal across the glass, and then the darkness comes back, soft and even, and the streaks return to their quieter selves, just present enough to catch whatever faint ambient glow rises from the wet road below. You are not watching for the next light. You are not following any particular streak from one side of the window to the other. What your eyes are doing is simpler than watching. It is more like being present in front of the glass without requiring anything of it, the rain working at the surface the way it has been working at it for a long while, and you there in the berth on your side, your cheek resting against the pillow's cool edge, the ceiling low above you, the van carrying everything forward at the same unhurried pace that has kept all along. Another streak crosses the glass, slowly catching what little light there is, and then it reaches the lower frame and is gone. This is where things are. This is where things have been for a while now, without beginning and without end in sight, and there is no other place to be, and no reason to look for one. Chapter 2. Hours of Road. There is a kind of knowing that comes not from a thought but from a slow settling, a recognition that has gathered quietly over time, without being decided upon, without any particular moment of arrival. The van has been in motion for a long while. You know this, the way the berth knows it, the way the warmth under the blanket has come to be your warmth and nothing else's, the way the rain on the side window has been there long enough to seem continuous, rather than temporary. Not restlessness, not impatience. Just the body's quiet acknowledgement that time has passed, that road has passed beneath the wheels, that the night has continued doing what the night does, without comment, without any need for yours. Below and slightly forward, the headlights spread their pale yellow wash across the wet tarmac. You cannot see them directly from the berth. The angle is wrong for that, the window looks out to the side. But you can see what they make of the road surface, the way the light catches the wet tarmac and reflects it back as a long, broken brightness, fractured into small pieces by the texture of the rain-soaked surface, moving always just ahead, finding more road, and then leaving it behind in the dark. The tarmac is very wet. The reflection of the headlights on it is not a clean line, but something softer and more scattered, a pale, diffuse wash that travels with the van and gives the road a brief illuminated moment before releasing it back to the night. To the side, the lava field begins. Or perhaps it has been there for some time already. It is flat and very dark, and it offers almost nothing back. No glimmer, no variation, no feature that the headlights or the ambient glow from the road can catch and hold. Just a wide, even expanse stretching from the edge of the tarmac into the dark, and your eyes do not search it. It has been the same rhythm for a long while now, and by now it has joined everything else, the engine, the road sound, the rain on the roof, as something that simply is, something the ear has long since folded into the background and stopped tracking as a separate thing. You hear it, but you do not listen to it. It arrives and passes without demanding anything. A steady, small event, already known, already ordinary. Wet tarmac beneath the wheels, the dark field to the side. The headlight wash advances along the road, steady, carrying its pale yellow across the surface of the wet tarmac, illuminating the small irregularities that a dry road would hide. A shallow place where water gathers, a slight darkening where the surface is older and more porous, and then moving on past each of them, leaving each thing in the dark again as soon as the light has passed. The road gives nothing extraordinary back. The night gives nothing extraordinary back. There is no curve appearing ahead, no change in grade, just the road continuing as it has been continuing, flat and wet and ordinary, the headlights reaching forward into it and finding more of the same, and that sameness being exactly right, being in fact the only thing it needs to be. You breathe, the berth holds you. The blanket has settled. Rain on the roof. A little softer up there than it is on the glass, more diffuse. Arriving not as drops you could distinguish, but as a general murmur. The sound of rain that has been falling for a long time and settled into its pace. Rain on the side window. The streaks still moving their slow diagonals, still catching whatever pale glow the road sends up to them. The wiper rhythm below. Steady, unremarkable, already as ordinary as the low sound of the engine, as ordinary as the flat dark field that lies beyond the edge of the tarmac. The lava field extends into the dark. The headlights find more road. The rain continues. You have been here for a while now. The knowing of that has no weight to it, no edge. It is simply a fact the night is carrying, the same way it carries the rain and the road and the wide, flat field, quietly, without effort, without needing to be acknowledged. The wipers make their pass. The road continues beneath you, wet and even and unremarkable, and none of that asks anything of you at all. Chapter 3. The Wipers Measure. The wipers move through their arc again, and you notice, without quite deciding to notice, that you have been counting them. Not in numbers, not with any deliberate attention, only in the way the body counts a heartbeat, by feeling when the next one will come, and knowing it will, and releasing some small held thing when it does. Sweep. Sweep. And return. And even that it has become the texture of the air in here, the ground against which everything else rests. The wipers cut through it, their motion at the edge of hearing, a softer sound than the rain itself, a dragging, almost wet sound as the rubber crosses the glass and lifts at the far end of its stroke. You are not watching them. The sound is enough to know exactly where they are in their passage, exactly how far through the arc, how close to the turn. The van begins to dip. You feel it before you hear any change. A slight easing in the suspension, a minute shift in the angle the darkness makes beyond the windows, and then the rain comes differently. A register lower, fractionally, as though the hollow is holding the sound near the ground, pressing it inward, filling the small space between the van roof and the wet road with something denser and more immediate. Each drop against the roof takes on a fuller weight, a sound that was not quite there a moment ago on the flat. The wipers keep their pace. They do not adjust. They carry the hollow the same way they carry the open plain, without comment, without acknowledgement, with the same even and unhurried measure. You are aware of your hip, not because it is uncomfortable, because the sleeping bag has moved, gradually, in the soft and unnoticed way that fabric moves when a body has been still long enough. It has gathered there loosely, a soft accumulated weight against the side of you. You did not shift it. You did not feel it happening. It simply arrived, the way warmth arrives, without a beginning you can name, without requiring anything. The van climbs back to the flat. The sound lifts again, the rain returning to its usual register, that wide and open sound that belongs to the plain, to the space above the road, to the long dark field extending on either side. The rain becomes itself again, even, present, unremarkable in the best way, sweep and return, steady and unchanged. You listen to it the way you might listen to a clock in a room where you are almost asleep, not tracking anything, not waiting, only aware that the rhythm continues. The hollow is already behind you. The flat road ahead is exactly what the flat road behind was, and that sameness is something to rest against, the way the sleeping bag rests against your hip, the way your shoulder rests against the berth surface without needing to press. the rain on the roof, the wipers in their arc, the even road beneath. The wipers in their arc, the wipers. You are not thinking about these things. Or rather, some part of you registers them without the registering becoming a thought. They arrive and pass, like the wipers turn, like each drop against the glass, like a very slight release in the muscles of your back that has happened sometime in the last few minutes without your noticing. The rhythm continues. There is a sound at the top of the wiper's stroke, a faint, nearly inaudible moment where the motor reverses and the arm pauses for the smallest fraction of a second before drawing back. You can almost hear it. On some strokes you are almost certain you can. It is a very small sound, quieter than the rain, quieter than the engine note below you, a sound that has probably been there all along and that you are only now, in this deep and undemanding hour, still enough to almost catch. The sleeping bag is warm at the hip. The road is even beneath the van. The rain continues at its register, constant and soft, and carrying nothing but itself. The wipers keep their measure, sweep, and slow return, the same in the hollow as on the flat, the same now as an hour ago, the same as they will be when you are no longer listening. You do not need to count them, they count themselves. Chapter 4. Dark Curtains. Through the side window, the rain has a shape, not the rain on the glass itself, that arrives without shape, beading and running in small crooked lines you are not following. But in the middle distance, where the van's light reaches the air and begins to fail, out there in that grey-lit space between the van and the dark, the rain falls in curtains. You can see them moving. They are not quite visible in any single place. A curtain of rain is a darker thing against a dark ground, a denser passage of air, a thickening. You notice one the way you notice something in peripheral vision, by not looking directly at it, by letting the eye rest soft rather than focus. One passes through the headlight wash now, angled slightly, travelling at a pace the van's own movement makes readable, the way you can read the direction of falling snow from inside a moving vehicle. The curtain is gone before you have quite decided you saw it. Another follows, farther out, closer to the edge of the light. The lava field is there beyond. You know this without seeing it clearly, the way you know the floor is there when you wake in a dark room. It is flat. It extends in every direction past the reach of any light, a wide plain of old rock, rough-textured and open, offering the rain no resistance, no shelter, no feature that would slow or redirect its passage. The rain crosses it, the way it crosses everything here, without distinction, its curtains moving through the dark at whatever angle the wind has given them tonight, unhurried and purposeful in the way weather is purposeful, which is to say, not purposeful at all, only present, only continuing. Coolness comes in at the side, not a draft, not a chill. Something smaller and slower, a seeping, the night air at its most minimal, finding the edge of the window seal where the rubber sits against the frame, and pressing through in the smallest quantity, only just enough to be felt at the side of the berth. It arrives at the narrow surface between the sleeping bag's edge and the pillow with a quality that is difficult to name precisely. Cold is not quite right. Mineral is closer. Something that has crossed a long distance of open rock and open water before arriving here, at this seal, in this small quantity. Iceland outside. Rock and rain and old air that has come a long distance and crossed the flat field and found its way to the edge of this window. You feel it without moving. It is a thin thread of the outside world laid against the warmth of the berth, and the contrast is not unpleasant. It makes the warmth more findable, more present to the body. The sleeping bag against your hip. the give of the surface beneath your shoulder. And there at the side, that faint mineral trace, that narrow reminder of the night beyond the glass. The curtain moves through the light. You watch it without quite watching, your attention soft and unfocused, your eyes resting somewhere in the middle distance rather than following. The curtain passes at its angle, left to right, carried by whatever low wind is moving across the plain tonight, and then the headlight wash is clear again. Ordinary rain in its ordinary fall, the flat land behind it dark, and even and extending outward without a feature you can name. The window has fogged at one corner, not much. A small bloom of condensation, where the cold glass meets the warm air that has gathered inside the van through the long, quiet hours. It does not obscure the view. The view through the side window has never been a view of particular things, only the quality of the dark out there, only the sense of the space, the enormous unlit space and the occasional curtain passing through. The coolness at the seal is steady and unchanged. The berth holds the warmth without effort, the way a closed space holds warmth when nothing moves and no door opens, accumulated through the hours, settled, no longer something you think about. The sleeping bag, the pillow at the side of your head, the mineral coolness at the window's edge, present but distant, no more than a thin acknowledgement that the Icelandic night is out there and that you are here, inside it and apart from it at once, warm where the night is not, still where the rain curtains move. Another curtain drifts through the headlight wash and is gone. The lava field carries the dark quietly outward in all directions, flat and open and farther than anything needs to follow. You are not following, you are here. Chapter 5. A single lit window, warm and particular. Sitting at a distance you cannot quite measure from where you lie. You notice it the way you notice things now, at this hour, not with effort, not with intention. It simply enters the frame and becomes present. The van continues. The light does not move. It holds its position out in the dark, and as the road draws the van forward, the window carries the light slowly through your field of view, leftward, unhurried, without any change in the light itself. The amber is soft, not the hard brightness of something new or electric, but something older and low and steady. The kind of warmth that has been burning since well before dark, probably since long before the rain arrived to close over the valley. The color of it is warm in a very particular way, orange gold at the center where the lamp sits, warming toward yellow at the outer edges of the pane, and the rain dark pressing in close on every side beyond it, making the amber feel quieter and more itself against the surrounding night. You can see no road to it, no approach, no driveway, no track through the lava, no visible line of passage between here and there. Just the dark and the rain, and then the window, lit and still and amber, as if the farmhouse had always been exactly there and had never needed explaining, as if it had simply been part of the stone and the quiet for years and years, burning one soft light for no reason that needed naming. Perhaps someone is still awake behind it. Perhaps no one is, and the lamp was simply left burning for the dark, the way lamps are left in houses where the evenings run long and the night outside is complete. It doesn't matter. You are not going there. You are here, inside the van, warm, with the glass between you and the night and the rain and the open lava field. The light is simply what it is. One amber window in the dark, warm and fixed and particular, and that is already a whole and complete thing, asking nothing from you at all, requiring nothing. The light drifts. That is the only word for what it does. You are still. and so it is the light that moves, slowly leftward through the frame of the glass, as unhurried as the rain above, gathering itself toward the center of the pane, as if the window were briefly cupping the small warm thing, holding it at a quiet remove for just a moment, allowing you this one soft view of warmth in the dark. For a moment, it sits near the center of the glass, amber in the rain, dark, small and warm in particular, and at rest, not close, but not needing to be close. The sleeping bag holds the same warmth it has held all this time, gathered at your hip and your chest, soft at the shoulder where the fabric settled without effort or adjustment. You do not reach toward the light. There is nothing to reach from here, and nothing that needs it. You are watching it the way you watch rain on glass, with the easy, undemanding part of attention, the part that asks nothing and expects nothing and is simply present to whatever comes through the frame, whatever passes. Slowly, without announcement, the light begins its drift toward the right edge of the glass. The road must have curved somewhere. A long, gradual arc through the lava field, gentle enough that you barely register it as movement at all. The van follows, and the amber light, still fixed and burning in its place out in the dark, drifts rightward through the window now, moving toward the glass's edge as slowly and peacefully as it moved across the center. Nothing marks the edge of the frame. There is no line you can see, no curtain at the margin. Only the gradual, unhurried approach of warmth toward the right side of the pane. And then the glass gives way there and the dark beyond it receives the light quietly. And the light is somewhere behind the van now, back in the field, still burning its amber in the night. Gone from the glass, not gone from anywhere. The window holds rain again. Rain, and the dim impression of the land passing slowly, dark shapes of lava and distance, the same quiet motion the glass has carried all evening, exactly as it was before the light appeared. As if the amber window had simply been a soft, unhurried visitor that the frame had held for a moment before releasing it back to the dark without ceremony. You are warm. The rain has not changed its voice at all. The window shows rain, the field beyond shows dark. That is enough. That is quietly, entirely enough. The amber light is behind the van now. Somewhere in the dark field the window no longer shows, back in the lava and the rain and the Icelandic night, the lamp still burning quietly as the rain has not changed its voice at all. Somewhere in the dark field the window no longer shows, back in the lava and the rain and the Icelandic night. The lamp is still burning, no doubt, still amber, still particular and warm, but the glass shows none of it. The glass shows what it has always shown, rain and the quiet moving impression of the land, and beyond it the complete and open dark. Nothing was taken from the window when the light went. Nothing changed. The rain is the same rain, the same soft, irregular rhythm against the roof above you, the same low presence threading through the van's hum. The dark beyond the glass is the same dark it has been since the last light from the road grew thin and faded. The van continues at the same, even, unhurried pace it has kept all evening, and the motion beneath you is the same motion, low and constant and entirely without urgency. The end entirely without urgency. You notice this now, not as something new, but as something that has been true for some time, and that you are only just now letting settle fully into your awareness. The fabric of the pillowcase against the skin of your cheek, soft, shaped to the angle of your face by however long you have been lying here. Your cheek rests into it without effort. There is no part of you that wants to lift it away or find a different position. It is comfortable in the way that things only become comfortable after they have been in place for a while. The quiet, unasked for rightness of something that is already found where it belongs. The sleeping bag warmth is gathered at your hip, at your chest, where the fabric has settled close to you over time, without any arrangement or decision on your part. At the low place where your shoulder meets the seat below and the warmth of the bag above. That warmth did not go anywhere while the amber light was in the window, and it has not changed now that the light has passed behind the van into the dark. It has been accumulating all this time, patient and slow, the kind of warmth that only deepens as the hour moves on, as the body grows still, as the breath gradually asks less of itself. Attention finds it now, and what it finds is very complete. The window shows rain. The field beyond is dark and flat and extending outward in all directions, the same quiet Icelandic dark that has been out there since the road left the last lit place behind. The farmhouse is somewhere behind the van, back in the lava, back in the night, its amber window still burning no doubt, still steady and warm in its own field. But it is not this window. This window is rain and dark, and the slow passage of stone and weather, and that is a settled thing, an ordinary and entirely sufficient thing, asking nothing. Your breath comes in. You notice this, not quite a decision to notice it, just the noticing arriving on its own, soft and without urgency. Your breath is slower than it was. You are not sure when it slowed. Sometime while the amber light was drifting through the glass, sometime while you were watching it cross toward the right edge of the frame, sometime in the quiet stretch after it went. Your breath found a slower rhythm and has simply been keeping it, without effort, without your having asked it to, in and slowly out. The warmth at your hip is very complete now. Gathered without gaps, the sleeping bag settled close against you, holding your own accumulated warmth against you the way still air holds heat, gently, without gripping. The weight of it at your shoulder is soft. The place where the pillow meets your cheek has grown warm from you, not from any separate source, just from the long, quiet fact of your being there. The van continues through the dark and the rain. The lava field opens past the glass in all directions, flat and quiet and extending outward, much farther than you need to follow it. The rain does not stop. The dark does not change. The van moves at its low, even pace through all of it, and you rest inside the warmth, inside the soft weight of the sleeping bag and the pillow and the gentle motion, and the breath comes in slowly and goes out again. And there is a long, quiet place between one breath and the next where the body simply rests, not waiting, not reaching, simply here. Breath in, very slow. Breath out, slower still. The dark field continues past the glass. The rain does not stop. You are here. Chapter 7. The Bridge. There is a change in the sound beneath you, so gradual at first that you might have dreamed it. The engine note does not shift. The van is still moving at its same low, even pace, but the road's voice changes. That soft, continuous hiss of wet tarmac, present beneath everything for so long now, begins, very gently, to alter. Something wooden, a low resonance, felt more than heard, moving up through the floor and into the berth frame and into the place where your shoulders rest against the mattress. You do not need to move. The vibration travels through the berth slowly, not a shudder, nothing sharp or sudden, simply a rounding of the road's usual tone into something older and deeper, as though the van were crossing over something laid down long before the tarmac was here. Planks, perhaps. Old timber fitted over water, grown smooth and dark with years of rain and crossing. The texture of it moves through the metal of the van and through the frame, and into the mattress beneath you, and you feel it as a soft, almost familiar deepening, the way you might feel a low note resonating in a very quiet room, less heard than sensed through the chest and the back and the shoulders. And beneath that wooden sound, beneath the low hum of it moving up through the floor, there is another sound entirely, if you are still enough to notice. Moving water, dark and cold, crossing somewhere below you in the dark without any hurry, without any ceremony. You cannot see it. It is there in the sound, a low, unceasing presence moving beneath the road and beneath the bridge and beneath the van and beneath you, traveling in the direction it has always traveled, the way dark water moves when no one is watching, when no one is counting it. The berth holds you, the sleeping bag holds you. The pillow is warm where your cheek rests against it. 4 seconds, perhaps 5. Then the wooden note fades. The road returns. Exactly as it was, that same soft continuous hiss against the undercarriage, the same low frequency in the chassis, the same wiper drawing its arc across the windscreen at its same patient measure. Nothing has changed. The rain is still the same rain. The dark outside is still the same dark. The bridge is already behind you now, already becoming one of those things that does not need to be held, that the mind releases without being asked. You let it go. It comes out longer than the one before it, or perhaps it is only that the body, feeling the road settle back into its familiar note, releases something small it had been holding without knowing. The chest drops a little. The mattress receives a little more of the weight you brought to it. The exhale and the road's returning sound arrive together in the same moment, and there is something in that pairing, the two rhythms finding each other at once, that the body seems to recognize without needing to think. The breath comes in again, quietly, very slowly. The body has always known how to do this. It has been doing this work all your life, this low, unhurried cycle of taking in what is needed and releasing what is not, and it does not need any instruction now. It does not need any watching. The chest rises and the chest falls, and the sleeping bag rises with it and settles back, and the whole of you is here in the warmth and the dark and the soft enclosed space of the berth, with the rain at the roof and the road beneath the floor and the wiper continuing its same arc. The river is somewhere behind you in the dark. It is still moving beneath the bridge you crossed, still traveling in the direction it has always moved, unhurried, crossing the dark ground as it will cross it long after the road is quiet and the rain has passed and the night has given way to something else. The wiper draws its arc. You are here. The rain continues its same measure on the roof above you. The breath goes out again, slowly, a long, even release. And then the quiet place between one breath and the next, where nothing is required of you at all, where the body simply rests, not waiting, not reaching. Simply here in the warmth and the dark and the soft continuous sound of the road beneath the floor. Chapter 8. Rain changing. The road begins to climb. You do not see it happen. Your eyes are closed, or nearly so, the window no brighter than the dark. But the van's engine finds a slightly different note, a quiet deepening, and the floor beneath the berth tilts, almost imperceptibly, toward the back of the van. Not steeply. Just the slow, long gradient of a road rising through night fields. The kind of rise you would not notice at all if you were upright and alert, but that the body in its stillness catches the way it catches a change in temperature, or the faint shift of air from a door opening somewhere far away. And the rain at the side window changes. It is the same rain. You know this without looking. You have known it all these hours. But the pitch of it shifts as the van rises, the drops arriving at a slightly higher register, thinner and finer, as though the rain at this elevation were a different thing from the rain in the fields below, made of the same water but drawn by the height and the wind into something lighter, something that moves across the glass at a slightly different angle, a slightly different speed. The streaks on the window rearrange themselves. You can see this without quite looking. The faint ambient glow of the night-through rain is enough to show you the new diagonals, shallower than before, traveling more slowly down the pane. The rain writes different lines across the glass, depending on which way the wind leans, depending on whether the road is rising or falling. The new lines are slower. They drift rather than run. The van rises. The rain thins. The new diagonals settle on the glass at their slow, unhurried angle. Then, without any announcement, the road begins to descend. The engine note eases, the van releasing into the long downslope, and the floor beneath you levels. Then tilts gently the other way, so gradually that the change is less a sensation than a quiet returning. The rain at the window fills back out, deeper in register, fuller and lower than it was at the top of the rise, more the rain you have known all evening, more settled, more soft. The streaks on the glass grow longer again, more deliberate, moving downward with a little more weight than the shallow diagonals of the climb, higher and thinner on the rise, fuller and slower on the descent. You notice this the way you notice something from a great distance, gently, without any effort of attention, the way a sound arrives at the edge of sleep, and you are aware of it without quite catching what it is, without any need to catch it at all. And the breath, without any decision, follows the same shape. In on the rise, a slow, quiet inhalation that comes as the road climbs, the chest lifting by the smallest measure, the ribs widening gently, as though the body had found a rhythm already present in the world and simply joined it, and out on the descent, the exhale settling as the road settles, the chest returning to its resting place as the van eases down into the low, dark ground ahead. You did not choose this. The body found it on its own, the way the body always finds what is already there when you grow still enough to stop looking, in on the rise, out on the descent. Very slowly, without any hurry. At the edges of the window frame, the glass holds a coolness, not cold, simply the temperature of the surface in a night of rain, the outside pressing gently into the far side of the pane. But you are not at the edge. You are at the center of the berth, inside the warmth of the sleeping bag, inside the warmth that has been gathering around you through all these long, slow miles, and the coolness of the glass is simply part of what lies beyond the warmth, a thing that belongs to the far side of the window and has no claim on where you are. The two things hold their own places without any friction between them. The cool at the far edge of the frame, the warmth here where the breath moves, each in its place, neither asking anything of the other. The breath moves in, slowly, as the road finds a long, shallow rise, the breath moves out, slowly. As the road finds its way back down, rainfuller at the glass now, lower, more settled. The diagonals long and unhurried, drifting down the pane at the pace of something with all the time it needs. The eyelids are heavy, the mind is loose. The body is here in the warmth, and the breath moves in the way the road moves, rising and settling, and the rain falls on the roof and on the window and on the dark fields. The van is passing through softly, without any stopping, without any reason to stop. The warmth holds you, the breath moves. All of it slow, all of it here. Chapter 9. The Pillow's Edge. There is the edge of the pillow against your cheek, just that, the cool pressed fold where the pillowcase turns back on itself. A small particular ridge of cotton resting against your skin with a quietness that has become somehow nearly the whole of the world right now. You did not choose to notice it. Attention simply arrived here. the way attention does when it has run out of anywhere pressing to be. And now this is what there is: the smooth weave of the fabric, the slight give of the pillow beneath the case, the cool particular contact of the seam's edge against your cheekbone. Not cold, not the cold of something left away from warmth, but that in-between temperature skin settles into when the body has been still long enough, when the exchange of heat between skin and cloth has slowed to almost nothing, when the two of them have come to a quiet agreement. The fold in the pillowcase has a shape, a faint raised seam along its edge, and your cheek rests against it without pressing, without asking anything of it, the way water rests in a still place, the way anything settles when it has stopped trying to go anywhere at all. The sleeping bag is heavy at your hip. Not heavily. The weight is too even, too continuous for that, too settled to register as burden. It is the weight of something that has been there all this time, long enough that the body has absorbed it the way it absorbs everything. It no longer needs to manage, quietly, without making any decision about it. The fabric lies softly against your side, soft enough that you feel it less as texture than as warmth, a closeness, the sustained presence of something that arrived a long time ago and stayed. When you breathe in, the sleeping bag shifts the faintest amount, a small following of your ribs as they lift, and when the breath goes out, it settles back. And this has been happening the whole time, the sleeping bag and the breath in their own quiet agreement, neither of them needing any direction from you. The warmth has had time to deepen. It is not the warmth of something newly begun, but the warmth of something that has had the whole of this journey to settle in, and it has settled. And it is simply what the world feels like from here, steady, held, already yours without you doing anything to keep it. The van moves beneath you, steady and without hurry. The road gives back a low vibration through the seat and the sleeping bag, very faint now, a quality more of the air than of anything that can be named. The pillow absorbs it, the sleeping bag absorbs it. Your body absorbed it a long time ago. The body has taken that back, the slow, automatic work of breathing, and the mind has let it go without deciding to, the way you release something in sleep without knowing the moment your hand opens. In through the nose, slow. The chest rises the smallest amount, the sleeping bag shifts the smallest amount. The cool fold of the pillow rests against your cheek, unchanged, and then the air moves out again at the pace the body has chosen, without being told what pace to choose, slow and even, and the chest falls, and the sleeping bag follows, and the fold in the cotton sits where it has always been. The rain is on the window. You can hear it, the low, patient sound of it gathering and releasing against the glass, the faint variation as the van moves through whatever the road is doing, but it is further from you than it was. Not because anything has moved, because something closer has grown larger in the space of your attention. The breath is closer than the rain. The pillow's cool edge is closer. Was the warmth gathered at your hip over all this time, the weight of the sleeping bag that has not shifted from its place. All of this is immediate, present, while the rain belongs to the other side of the glass and the night, doing what rain does in the dark, with no particular interest in whether you hear it or not. Your breath goes out, slowly, the body knowing when the breath has finished. The chest settling, the sleeping bag settling, the fold in the cotton against your cheek, cool and particular, asking nothing, a pause, brief and complete, and then in again, the slow lift. The sleeping bag accommodating it, the warmth at your hip unbroken, and out again. Everything the body is doing, it is doing on its own. The breath, the warmth, the weight across your hip and side. None of this asks for your attention or your monitoring or the smallest effort of will. The breath comes when it is ready. It goes when the body has finished with it. Between the two, there is a pause, and in that pause, everything is still. The sleeping bag neither rising nor falling, the pillow simply there, the rain outside, doing its own unhurried work, the van moving through the dark, none of it needing you for any part of it. In, the slow rise, out, the slow fall, the sleeping bag's warmth held in, out, still. Chapter 10. Only rain. There is the rain on the window. There is the wiper's even measure below it. Crossing the glass and returning, crossing and returning, the same unhurried arc it has traced for a long time now, indifferent to how long, steady as the rain itself. Is the warmth. There is the breath. In and out and in and out. Not counted, not watched from any remove, simply present, simply happening, the body doing what it has always known how to do without being asked, without instruction, without any effort from anywhere at all. These are the things that remain. Whatever else there was has drawn quietly back to the very edge of things, the way a tide draws from the shore without hurrying, leaving the ground open and still and uncomplicated. And what is left is only this, the rain on the glass, the wiper's low and even sound, the warmth and the breath moving in and out of the body at its own slow pace. These are enough. These have always been enough. The van moves through the Icelandic night. The road is dark and wet and passes beneath you without asking to be noticed, without asking for anything. The headlights find the asphalt and the wire fences at the edge of things, and the flat volcanic plain spreading away on either side. And then the dark takes it all back before you've had to think about any of it. The mountains are out there, set far back from the road, the great dark shapes of them, and you are not looking for them, and they are not asking to be found. Rain falls on all of it equally, on the road and the gravel at its margins and the dark fields and the invisible slopes beyond, on the lava fields and the rivers running somewhere in the dark and the whole long unrolling plain. None of it requires anything of you. It simply continues, doing its own unhurried work in the rain, without your attention, without your help, without anything from you at all. Your breath moves in, slow, unhurried, the chest lifting the faintest amount. Your breath moves out, slow, the chest settling, the sleeping bag settling, the warmth at your hip unchanged, the rain on the glass, the wiper crossing and then returning, the warmth in the sleeping bag where it has gathered along your hip and your side, all this time, undisturbed, something that has simply been accumulating in the quiet, the way warmth always accumulates when nothing asks it to go anywhere. The sound of the rain against the glass is even. You are not counting its variations. They are not the kind of thing that asks to be counted. Your breath moves in again. Rain on the roof as well, a different sound up there, more distributed, less a percussion than a murmur, a low continuous breathing from above. Both sounds are the same rain falling from the same dark sky. The difference between them is small and does not need to be held. The mind does not hold it, out, in. The warmth is here. The sleeping bag where it lies along your hip and your side has been holding this warmth without any effort from you. Not managed, not thought about, simply accumulated. The fabric doing what the fabric does when the body has been still long enough and the night is long enough and there is nothing to disturb it. You breathe in and the warmth stays. The chest lifts the faintest amount. The sleeping bag shifts the faintest amount. The pillow is cool and soft against your cheek, out. The breath leaving, slowly, the body knowing exactly when it has finished, the brief and entire pause before the next breath comes. The chest at rest. The sleeping bag at rest. The rain on the glass, the wiper's arc, the warmth, the dark pressing softly against all the windows. In, out. The road's vibration has grown very faint. fainter than it was. The kind of faint that comes when something has been present so long that the body has stopped marking it as separate from the quiet. It has become part of the quiet, part of the low ground of everything, along with the warmth and the sleeping bag's weight and the breath moving in and out. The breath slow through the nose, the chest lifting very gently out, the warmth unchanged at your hip and side, the rain still on the glass, the same rain it has been for a long time, the same rain it will be, and the wiper crossing it at the same even pace. In, out. There is only the rhythm, the body's own rhythm, slow and even and complete, and around it the rain and the warmth and the low sound of the wiper crossing the glass, all of it simply here, simply continuing, none of it asking for your attention, none of it requiring anything from you at all, only the rain, only the breath, only this. Chapter 11. The dark beyond. The dark outside the window is complete now. Not a specific darkness, not trees, or a hedgerow edge catching the last of the road's light. Just the dark, wide, and moving past the glass, the sense of passing through something that has no particular shape to it and no particular edge. You are aware of it the way you are aware of the night itself, not as a thing to look at, but as a thing that is simply there, simply continuing, and you do not need to look at it. You do not. The sleeping bag holds its warmth around you the way it has for a long time now, gathered and close, pressed in at your sides where the padding has settled beneath your weight, thick at your shoulder, resting over your legs in a way that has become simply the shape of things. The warmth is not something you are producing anymore. It has become the space you are in, the space that holds you. Your cheek has been resting on the pillow for a long time, long enough that the fabric is warm exactly where your cheek is, warm in the precise shape you have made there, and that warmth belongs there now, has belonged there for a long time, and you do not move from it. The pillow does not ask you to, you stay. The wiper crosses the glass somewhere ahead of you, and you hear it the way you hear things now, at a distance, even and ordinary, a sound that crosses and returns and crosses again, none of its crossings requiring anything from you. It crosses. It returns. The rain continues. It has been continuing, and it continues still, and there is no variation in it that matters, and that is exactly right, and that is all it is. Your breath moves through you slow and wide, wider than it was earlier in the evening, a breath that takes its time rising and takes its time releasing, and does not hurry through either. In, and then, out, and then the pause. And the pause is longer now than it has been, the quiet space the body opens between one breath and the next, where nothing is required, where the breath has already finished, and the next one has not begun. You do not fill that space. The pause holds itself. And then, gently, without any effort you can feel, the next breath begins. It rises slowly, it settles. The pause comes again. Outside the dark is moving, not fast, not with any particular shape, simply the formless dark of fields and distance, and the low night sky under a thick cover of cloud, all of it sliding past the glass in the way dark does when you are the still thing and the world continues around you, or the other way around. You are not watching. The dark is simply present, the way the rain is present, the way the warmth is present, all of it part of the same continuing thing, none of it asking anything of you. Your arms are settled inside the sleeping bag, warm with the particular heaviness of the body that has been still for a long time. The weight of your shoulder, the weight of your arm resting where it rests, soft and dense and exactly right. The feeling of a body that has nowhere else to be, not a burden. Simply what rest feels like. The body filling with its own stillness, pressing gently down into the place where it has always been going. The warmth at your shoulder is steady. The warmth along your side, where the sleeping bag holds close and even, is steady. The warmth beneath your cheek, the long-gathered familiar warmth that has been there quietly since long before the hour grew late. Steady and soft and entirely yours. All of it here, all of it still. The rain settles against the glass in its one low tone. The wiper crosses, quiet and unhurried. The dark beyond the window holds its wide and formless presence, which is no particular shape, which is simply the shape of the night around you, and the moving dark that neither arrives nor departs, but simply passes. The pause opens and stretches, and in the stretch of it there is nothing arriving, nothing calling for your attention, and you do not go looking for any. You rest in the pause the same way you rest in the warmth, simply there, simply inside it. In, out, the pause, the dark wide and complete beyond the glass. The rain, a soft and constant sound against it. The sleeping bag warm around you in every direction, the pillow warm beneath your cheek. Your breath moving at its own slow pace, and the pause between breaths long and soft, and the warmth steady around all of it, and nothing asking and nothing requiring, and everything here quietly, simply continuing. The wiper crosses once. Everything continues. Chapter 12. Still moving. The van moves. It has been moving, and it moves still, through the rain and the dark at its own even pace. And there is no particular place this is going, and no particular time it will arrive, and neither of those things is a problem, and neither of those things is anything at all. The rain continues against the roof and against the glass, the same low, even rain it has been for a long time, and you know its sound by now. You know the way it gathers and falls and rests against the window without force, and it does not ask for your attention, and you do not give it any. It is there. The dark is there beyond it. The warmth is there around you. All of it, the shape of the night you are moving through, all of it simply here and here and here. Your breath is very quiet now, quieter than it was. A soft movement, the chest rising a small amount, then settling, the pause between coming long and wide and unhurried. The pause, and then the next breath arriving so softly that there is almost no moment where you could say one ended and the other began. They are that close to each other now. That soft. It is very quiet inside you. The sleeping bag holds its warmth around you, not as something you feel particularly anymore, but as the condition you are inside, the steady gathered warmth that has simply become where you are. You have been in it for a long time. It is not separate from you. It is simply the air you occupy, close and soft and constant. The pillow is warm where your cheek rests, not pressing, not asking. Just warm and soft, and there, the way it has been for a long time now, and you rest against it without choosing to, without thinking about it, your cheek finding the warmth and the warmth receiving it, and neither of them requiring anything more. The van moves through the rain and the dark. The wiper crosses the glass at its low and even pace, somewhere at the far end of things from where you are. You hear it as a familiar shape of sound, a crossing, a return, and below it the engine holds its one steady note, and the road passes beneath the wheels, and the rain comes down on all of it, and all of it is simply what is happening, and none of it is asking anything, and you are not asking either. Wide and soft. The pause longer than the breath before it, longer than any pause that came before this one, and inside the pause there is warmth, and inside the warmth there is the gathered weight of the sleeping bag, and the softness of the pillow, and the low sound of rain on the roof, and the dark outside moving slowly past, and none of it needs you to be conscious of it, and none of it needs anything from you at all. The breath comes again, very soft, very quiet, rising so gently it barely lifts the warmth around it, settling. The pores opening once more, longer than before, wider than before. The breath and the pores grown so near to each other in length that the difference between them is almost nothing now, almost nothing. The dark outside continues, wide and patient and formless. The rain on the glass continues, low and soft and even. The van moves through the night, and the night holds it, and the warmth is all around you inside it, and your breath is moving very slowly in the warmth, and the pause between breaths is long and soft, and the pillow is warm beneath your cheek, and the sleeping bag is gathered close around your whole body, and the sound of the rain is low and steady, and the wiper crosses the glass somewhere in the distance once, and the engine hums its quiet note beneath everything, and the wind holding of the nightstance once, and the engine hums its quiet note beneath everything, and none of it is requiring, and you are here in the warmth, in the quiet breathing very slowly. The pause is longer now than the breaths themselves. The breath is something of breaths themselves. The breath is longer now than breath. The motion settles imperceptibly into something even quieter. You feel the crossing of the wiper grow distant, then absent, and in its place comes only the low, soft percussion of rain on the roof, not quite the same as before. Closer now, more immediate, the particular sound of water meeting metal at rest. The engine is gone. The night has drawn in around something small and warm and stopped, and you are still there inside it, unchanged. The sleeping bag tucked at your collarbone, the berth holding your weight evenly, the air barely different from the air you have been breathing. Somewhere beyond the dark and the rain, the ocean exists, vast and entirely invisible, and it does not require anything of you. The gust moves the van very gently once, then still again. You do not move. The storm is outside. You are not. Chapter 1. The engine stills. The engine stops. That is the first thing. The engine stops, and in the space its sound had been filling, there is only rain. You are already lying here. The overhead berth holds you from below and from both sides, close and low, and the sleeping bag has been settled around your shoulders and across your chest long before this moment, its weight familiar and unchanged, the same slight steady pressure it carried during the last hour of road, and the hour before that, the van rolling through coastal dark and the sleeping bag not shifting, not asking anything, simply holding its warmth in place around you until the van rolled to a stop, and the engine went quiet, and the drive ended without ceremony, without anything particularly marking its end, except the stillness that came after. The warmth has not changed. It built slowly, the way warmth builds inside a sleeping bag during a long drive. The heater low beneath the dash, your own body contributing what it contributes, and it requires nothing to sustain itself now. The engine's absence does not touch it. You are warm and enclosed, and the warmth is complete, and that particular fact asks nothing of you at all. Rain finds the roof. It was already there, you half realize, in the slow and unhurried way that realizations arrive now, when nothing is pressing for your attention. During those last miles of coast road, the rain was landing on the van, but the engine's voice was larger and covered it, the way a nearer sound always covers a further one. And now the engine is gone, and the rain has the whole of the quiet to fill. It fills it easily. What you hear is much closer than rain heard from inside a house. Closer than rain heard through a bedroom ceiling. The roof of the berth is just above your face, near, almost intimate, and the rain landing on it sounds immediate, each drop arriving and giving its particular small sound before it dissolves, and the next one comes, so that together they produce not a single sound, but a field of sound, a continuous soft texture of small arrivals, spreading from directly above you, out to every edge of the roof and beyond, finding the windshield, finding the side panels, finding everything the rain can find out there in the dark. You do not move. The sleeping bag is soft where it folds near your jaw, soft against the sides of your neck. Your arms rest inside it, your hands slightly curled and open, not holding anything, simply resting at your sides. The mattress beneath your back is the thin kind, the kind that holds you without asking to be noticed, and you have stopped noticing it. Your shoulder blades simply rest in it, your hips settle, the back of your head finds its place against the small pillow, and your neck releases. The tension that a long drive holds in the neck and across the tops of the shoulders, so familiar it stopped registering as tension, is simply gone. Not released all at once. Released the way warmth releases, gradually, without announcement, so that at some point it was there and at some later point it simply was not. The rain does not build toward anything. It continues, steady, even, unvarying, finding the roof in the same distribution moment after moment. The windshield receives it at a slightly different pitch, softer, the angle changing the sound of each arrival, making it rounder and less precise. The side panel beside the berth carries its own version too, lower still, fuller, 3 sounds if you chose to separate them. You do not choose to. They belong to the same rain, the same darkness outside, the same coastal night, and they arrive together and they stay together. And you are inside all of it, warm in the berth, the sleeping bag unchanged around you. Your breathing has slowed. It slowed without you deciding to slow it. The way breathing slows when the engine stops and the road stops and the only movement remaining is the rain on the roof and the small, barely perceptible lift of the sleeping bag with each inhale. In and the bag rises almost not at all. Out and it settles. The rain arrives and withdraws, arrives and withdraws, a rhythm with no effort behind it and no intention, and your breath finds something alongside it without you meaning it to, without anything being decided. The Layby holds the van entirely still. The night is doing what this stretch of coast does with its nights, simply continuing, quietly, the rain finding every surface it can reach outside, the warmth inside the berth holding you where you are. Chapter 2. Rain finds every surface. The rain has been finding the van from every direction. The roof takes the most of it, and its sound is the highest. The metal there is thin and taut, and each drop arrives cleanly and gives its full sound before dissolving. The side panels receive the rain at a different angle, and their sound is lower, fuller, not percussive in the way the roof is, but rounder, the drops spreading slightly as they meet the surface, the sound spreading with them. The rear windows are different again, the glass there softer in the way it receives rain, the drops dissolving into it rather than striking it, so that what reaches you through the glass is less a collection of individual arrivals and more a continuous murmur, even and low, a sound that does not vary much and does not need to. You have been noticing this without trying to notice it. Lying here, completely still inside the sleeping bag, your body motionless in the berth. You have simply been receiving these sounds the way a still surface receives light. Without deciding to, without doing anything, the sounds arriving and passing through your awareness and settling somewhere quiet. The roof. All of them rain. Each one its own version of it, its own pitch and texture, its own particular way of meeting the van and being changed by it. The van does not move, not in the way a moving van is still. There is no road motion conducting itself upward through the chassis, no vibration in the mattress, no faint sway. The van is placed, stationary, resting in the Layby's gravel the way a stone rests in ground, and it will not shift until morning, and morning is very far away. The Layby gives some shelter on the inland side, the rise of the hill reducing the worst of the wind, so the van receives the rain from mostly above, the drops arriving nearly vertically on the roof, steady and direct. But you cannot feel the van's stillness as a thing in itself. You feel only what the sleeping bag gives you: warmth, softness, the slight and continuous weight of its filling across your chest. Your back rests in the mattress. The berth rests in the van. The van rests in the Layby. All of it at rest, each layer holding the layer above it, and you at the top of all those layers, held from below by everything and not required to hold anything at all. The warmth does not change. You notice this the way you might notice a sound that has been constant, which is to say, you do not notice it directly, but if it changed, you would feel the change immediately. The warmth simply continues. The sleeping bag captures it and returns it to you, and the van's metal outside is cooling as the engine's last heat releases into the night air. But that is outside, and you are inside. And what is inside is warm, has been warm since well before the engine stopped, and remains so now, surrounding you evenly, holding you in it without effort. Rain on the roof, arriving in its countless small arrivals, each one dissolving before the next one comes, together making their particular even sound, neither building nor fading, simply sustained. Rain on the side panel beside you, lower and fuller, a softer percussion. Rain on the rear windows, softer still, more continuous, a murmur that stays level and undemanding. The three sounds together without competing, the way versions of the same thing always coexist, overlapping, each one present, none of them asking for your attention more than any other. Your breathing is slow. Your chest barely rises with each breath. The exhale is unhurried, long, the sleeping bag settling lightly with it and returning to where it was. Between each breath there is a pause, and that pause seems, in these moments, longer than it would have felt an hour ago. A pause that is only warmth and stillness and the sounds of rain on the surfaces of the van, all of it continuing, nothing expected of the pause and nothing delivered by it except its own quiet duration, which is enough. The berth holds you entirely. The van holds the berth. The Layby holds the van. The rain arrives on every surface it finds outside and continues arriving, and you are inside all of it, warm and still, the sleeping bag in the same arrangement it has held since the drive ended, the sounds of rain surrounding everything from every direction, asking nothing, requiring nothing, only continuing. Chapter 3. Somewhere, the sea. The sea is out there, somewhere beyond the Layby, past the road, past whatever low shelf of rock or scrub or pale grass separates this parked van from the water. You cannot see it. You have no way of knowing exactly how near it is, whether a short walk in the dark would bring you to the sound of it, or whether the coast is still half a mile distant across land you cannot picture. None of that is something you need to know. What arrives instead is a sound, low, continuous, sitting beneath the rain and beneath the quiet between drops and beneath everything else you are aware of. A presence more felt in the body than heard by the ears, a heaviness in the air that simply says the sea is out there, doing what it always does, indifferent to the storm and to the Layby and to the van and to you, lying still inside all of it. The rain is what you hear most clearly. It arrives on every flat surface of the roof in its uneven, overlapping patterns. Heavier here, softer there, the whole spread a bit too wide to track and too continuous to interrupt. Beneath all of that, Below that entire moving surface of sound, the sea's low presence persists, not in waves, not in any rhythm you could time or count. Quality more than a sound, a depth in the air itself, a heaviness that would not be here if the coast were far inland. It is here because the water is near, somewhere near, invisible and entirely present. You breathe in slowly. There is something in the air, faint, almost nothing. Salt, the kind that settles into anything sitting near open water long enough, into fabric, into stitching, into the still air of a sealed space. The sleeping bag carries it, barely. This berth carries it, barely. Not quite a smell, more a quality of the breath itself, arriving in one slow inhale and less certain in the next and present again in the one after that. A gentle register of where you are that requires nothing from you to receive. The darkness is complete. Whether your eyes are open or closed makes no difference. There is nothing here to see. The curtains hold the outside at a distance, and the outside offers nothing back. No headlights on the road, no lit window across a field, no glow from a town at the edge of the sky. The storm has closed the clouds entirely over whatever might otherwise exist above. What is here on this coastal night past wherever the last settlement sits is the particular darkness of a place where land ends and weather arrives without obstacle, unmarked, total, soft in the way of things that require no effort to maintain. It does not feel like absence. It feels like enclosure. Dark you stop noticing because it asks nothing of your eyes, and your eyes ask nothing of it. They rest. After a while they are simply part of the stillness, part of the sleeping bag and the mattress and the close ceiling and the warmth, all of it one continuous, unremarkable thing, held together in the dark. The low sound beneath the rain persists. It does not grow nearer or clearer as the night continues. It stays at the same indistinct, quiet depth, a suggestion of something vast and patient happening somewhere just beyond what you can see or locate, too diffused to name and too steady to dismiss. The storm works the surface of the outside world. The sea goes on below it, the way the sea always does, through weather and dark and the long, unhurried passage of a night near the coast. You are not listening for it. You are not listening for anything. The sound is simply there, and you are here, and the space between noticing and not noticing has grown very small. The rain on the roof continues in its own unhurried way, the same general weight, the same general pace as before. Outside, the night continues exactly as it has. Inside, nothing has changed from what it was when you first lay still, and the van went quiet around you. The salt comes with it, faint, as it has been all along, the same quiet quality of air that belongs to this particular coast, this particular night, the sealed warmth of this berth. You breathe it in and then out, and the rain on the roof is exactly as it was, and the low sound beneath the rain is exactly as it was, and none of it asks anything from you. Your body is still. The van is still in the Layby. Outside, the sea continues, invisible, unhurried, patient as it has been for all the hours before this one, and you are inside everything, and the darkness is complete, and the rain is continuous, and the salt in the still air is barely there. Chapter 4. The berth holds you. The ceiling is close. Not pressing, only present, in the way that very near things are present, a fixed, known distance above you, measured once and then simply there, a fact of this space that requires no more attention. The berth is shallow. You understood that when you lay down, and a body has understood it since, and there is nothing about it to adjust to anymore. The ceiling is where it is. You are where you are. The distance between them is small and unchanging and steady in the dark. The mattress beneath you is firm in the way that meets the body arriving on it and holds the body there, unchanged, without absorbing it or softening around it, simply holding it. You are aware of it at the back of your shoulders, where the body presses into it, at the base of your spine, at the flat of your heels which have not moved. The firmness was already right when you first lay down, and the body understood that and stopped noticing it, and what remains is only the sensation of being held, a flat, steady, continuous pressure rising up through the mattress to meet the weight of you. The sleeping bag presses down across the length of you, not heavy, or not heavy in a way that demands anything, only with a gentle, continuous weight that you can feel at the shoulders and follow all the way down through the body to the hips and the legs and the still enclosed feet at the far end. It does not shift. It rests exactly where it was when you settled in, and it will rest there unchanged, and the press of it is something the body incorporated long ago into its understanding of this night. Warmth on all sides. The sleeping bag brings it from above, pressing its warmth down across the chest and the belly and the legs. The mattress carries warmth from below, the accumulated heat of a body that has been lying still long enough to warm the surface beneath it. The walls of the berth hold everything close enough that the warmth has nowhere to go, no direction from which the cold outside could enter without first meeting what already fills this small space. You are enclosed in it on every surface at once. Not one direction, all of them. The rain outside continues at the same pace it has held for a long time now. It is not a demanding sound, only a steady one, arriving on the roof with the same general persistence it has shown since the drive ended, and the van went quiet and the night took over. You do not need to listen to it. It is there regardless, covering the outside world with its low, unhurried arrival, asking nothing from you at all. Your body has nothing left to do, nothing to find, nothing to adjust, nothing to settle into that it is not already settled into. The mattress is beneath you. The ceiling is close in the dark above. The warmth is complete on every side. There is nothing here that changes. The berth is a very small space. You know all of its dimensions without looking. The nearness of the ceiling, the width of the mattress, the closed walls on either side. And in that smallness is something that functions like rest, because a space that holds the body exactly is not a small space in the way an open room is large. It is a held space. A space with walls close enough to warm. Rain on the roof. Soft, continuous, unchanged from before, running through its small variations. A little heavier for a moment, then easing, then returning to its ordinary pace. None of those variations sharp or sudden, all of them narrow and unremarkable, the storm continuing its long, quiet work on the outside world. The weight of the sleeping bag rests across the chest, across the hips, down through the legs to the feet, warm inside the bag and still, gone from your attention entirely. The warmth beneath you from the mattress and the warmth above you from the bag meet somewhere in the middle, and between them the body is held completely. There is no cold anywhere in the berth. There is no direction from which cold could arrive without first passing through everything warm that already surrounds you. The ceiling close and dark above. The mattress firm and steady below. The sleeping bag pressing its quiet weight down across everything. The rain outside unhurried and indifferent. And you, inside all of it, held on every side, completely still. Chapter 5. Waves across the roof. The rain is still there when you notice it again. It has been there all along. It never paused, never retreated, never called any attention to itself. only resting on the roof the way rain does when it has settled in for the night and has nowhere else it needs to be. The same low, steady texture of sound across the metal. The same unhurried weight of it, evenly distributed, front to back, side to side, covering everything above you without preference or emphasis. The sound thickens at the front of the van, first, at the windscreen, at the flat panels above the cab. A slight deepening of the note, a fraction heavier than the rain beside it, and then you feel it begin to travel. Back across the roof in a kind of wave, a low and gradual intensification moving above you, crossing the berth, reaching the rear of the van, and then dissolving out beyond it into the surrounding rain. Not a sudden thing, not loud, only a change in the texture of the sound, crossing the roof, and then gone. You do not move. The roof returns to its steady, even note, the light and continuous rain covering the metal from end to end the way it always has, holding everything in the same low sound without emphasis or preference. You are not sure how long that wave took to cross, a few seconds. Time has loosened in here, its edges soft and unmeasured, the minutes no longer separating themselves cleanly from one another. Then the wave comes again, different this time. Not beginning at the front, beginning somewhere in the middle, spreading outward in two directions at once, forward and back. A slow widening of the heavier sound, the note deepening and then softening again until there is no seam between the heavier rain and the lighter rain surrounding it. No moment you could point to and say, there, that is where it changed back. The roof was one thing, and then it was another thing, and then it was the first thing again, and the whole of it took perhaps 10 seconds, or perhaps 30. Was nothing to count. The warmth beneath the sleeping bag does not change at any point during this. It is still there, across your chest, your arms, your legs where they rest against the mattress. The rain is doing something above the metal. The warmth is doing nothing at all except continuing. You notice this without deciding to. It is simply available, the changing sound above and, separately, the unchanging warmth below, and nothing is required of you in the space between them. Nothing moves through the frame of the van. It rests on the gravel. It rests on its wheels and its body and its frame, not swaying, not adjusting. Taking the weight of the rain without response, and taking the changing note of it without response. The same way the road holds the van, and the Layby holds the road, and the dark holds all of it, not by doing anything, but simply by being there, present and still. A third wave moves across. This one is slower and less distinct. The heavier note arriving so gradually that you cannot be certain it is there until it has already begun to soften. It seems to travel from the back of the van toward the front, or perhaps you only sense it that way. There is no way to be certain, and there is no need to be. The moment you let go of the need to locate it precisely, the sound becomes simply what it is, rain on the roof. A very slight change in the rain on the roof, and then the roof again, covered in the same even fall from end to end. Your weight is in the mattress. The ceiling is close and dark above. The sleeping bag rests across everything the same way it did when this part of the night began. Another wave arrives, or something very much like one. The sound thickening somewhere above you, the note deepening for a moment before releasing itself back into the lighter rain. Perhaps you heard it clearly. Perhaps you heard it through the beginning of something softer, a half-sleep, a place where sound arrives with a slight delay and without the sharpness it had earlier in the night. Each wave a little harder to distinguish from the one before. The rain between the waves growing quieter, or perhaps only your sense of it growing less precise. The way sounds grow quieter when you stop reaching toward them and let them simply arrive. No pattern to any of it. Nothing to track, nothing to follow toward any conclusion. Only rain arriving at the roof in slow and unannounced waves, thickening and then softening, thickening and then softening, the same surface receiving each one the same way, without surprise, without response, without the need to prepare for whatever arrives next. The warmth between, and you inside all of it still. Chapter 6. A gust moves the van. The wind finds the van from the side. You hear it first. A low, sweeping pressure against the left panels, a sound with no sharp edge to it. The kind of wind that has traveled a long way across open water and spent most of itself on the way, arriving here already diminished, already halfway past. It is a wide sound, not a sudden one. And then the van leans, not far, not quickly. Only the faintest shift on its springs, a slow, gentle inclination of a few degrees, taking perhaps 2 full breaths to complete, and you feel the mattress pressing up against you change its angle by a very small amount, and the ceiling above you tilt very slightly, and everything that was level tilt with it, and you are aware of this the way you are aware of something in a dream, peripherally, without alarm, without any impulse in the body to adjust or respond. The van settles back, exactly to where it was. The springs release the lean in the same slow way they received it, returning the mattress to its familiar angle, the ceiling to its familiar position, everything coming level again without hurry, without announcement. The gust passes on through. You hear it briefly in the distance, moving further along the Layby or out across the water, and then it dissolves into the rain, and the rain closes over the space it left, and the roof returns to its steady, uninterrupted note. The same rain, the same even weight of it, front to back, unchanged. Your body did not need to respond to any of that. The shoulders are still resting where they were, and yet now that attention reaches them, not to check, only to notice, there is something they can release. A small, quiet weight they had been carrying without knowing it. Some very slight holding that was not effort and not intention, but was there nonetheless, and you let it go, not a decision, not an effort. Only an allowing. The shoulders drop a very small distance toward the mattress, finding a slightly deeper resting place than they had occupied before, and the sleeping bag settles with them, and the small release of it moves outward from there without asking for anything. The hands open a little. The fingers, which have been loosely curled against the fabric, not tightly, not intentionally, only in the quiet habit of being hands at the end of the day, let go of whatever they had been loosely holding. The palms settle toward the sleeping bag, the knuckles soften. The spaces between the fingers widen slightly, the way spaces widen when nothing is pressing them closed, and the hands become simply hands at rest. Heavy and warm, the fabric of the sleeping bag rising in small, soft ridges between the fingers where they have come to rest against it, and the jaw unclenches. You were not aware the jaw was clenched. It almost never announces itself. It holds the small, habitual tension. It accumulates across a day, a tension so ordinary it becomes invisible, carried without complaint from morning into evening and into the dark. When attention reaches it now, the teeth part very slightly and the muscles at the sides of the face release, and the jaw hangs easily in the warm air of the berth, soft and unneeded, suspended without grip, without any task remaining for it to perform. Another gust passes somewhere further out, beyond the headland perhaps, or further along the coast road in the dark, far enough away that what reaches you is only a low and distant suggestion of it, a faint pressing of wind against a larger world, and then that too dissolves into the rain, and the rain is what remains, as it has been all along, steady and patternless, covering the van from one end to the other. The van holds on its wheels, the springs are still, the panels are still, the whole square weight of the van rests on the gravel, and the gravel rests on the Layby, and the Layby holds all of it without effort, without response, without any sound of its own to add to the night. The van does not know the gust came. It only knows, in the way that solid things know, the ground beneath it and the rain above it and the stillness in between. Something in the chest has grown quieter than it was before the gust. The shoulders are where they softened. The hands are where they opened. The jaw is where it let go. The breath moves through all of this without asking anything of any of it. In, slowly, the chest rising only a small amount, the sleeping bag lifting very slightly with it, and out again, the chest settling, the sleeping bag settling, the body a little heavier than before in the mattress, a little softer, a little more completely held from below and covered from above, and the rain still crossing the roof in its slow, patternless waves, and the warmth still there, exactly where it has always been, unchanged and unhurried and requiring nothing. Chapter 7. The dark of the skylight. You are still. Not still through any effort. Not keeping still, not staying still, simply still in the way that arrives when the body has made all its adjustments and found its arrangement and stopped needing to change anything further. The sleeping bag is where it is. The mattress has held the weight of you for long enough that the shape it makes is now your shape, and there is no longer any difference between the two. Your arms are where they fell. Your legs are where they settled. None of it will. Your breathing moves. In, slowly. The chest rising only a small amount, the sleeping bag lifting very slightly with it. A movement felt more from inside than observed from without. And then out again, the chest settling, the sleeping bag settling with it, the body a small degree more thoroughly laid into the mattress than it was a moment before. This happens again and again after that at the same unhurried pace, going nowhere, simply moving the way breath moves when it has nowhere to be. Without deciding to, your eyes drift upward, not to look for anything, not to check on anything. Just upward, the way eyes move when they have stopped searching and begun simply resting open. And upward, in this car parked on the coastal Layby with the night pressed close against every window and the rain making its slow crossing over the roof, is the skylight. It sits in its frame above you, and beyond the glass, the dark that lives outside the car begins. It is a specific darkness, not the darkness behind your own eyes. That dark is soft and close, made of the interior of you. This darkness is made of other things entirely. Of actual things, layered cloud first, nearest to the glass, low and thick, the kind that settles in along this coast for an entire night and stays. Inside the cloud, already falling through it, the rain. The same rain that has been crossing this roof all evening, that has been making these surfaces its instrument since before you settled in. And behind the cloud, past it, the actual sky, a depth with no weather in it, simply open and vast and of no concern to you at all. All of these press together through the glass until no light passes between one layer and the next, and no border between them remains visible. Not emptiness, the opposite. A full, settled dark resting above you in the frame. The rain finds the glass above and crosses it in the same slow, patternless rhythm it has kept all night. You have been hearing it for long enough that it has stopped being something to notice, and has become instead the texture of the air in here, the thing the night inside this car is made of. Each crossing is soft. Nearly identical to the one before, and the difference between one crossing and the next is small enough that you stopped measuring it some time ago. Your face is cool. Only your face. The small portion that rises above the sleeping bag and meets the air of the car. Your nose knows the temperature of it. knows the particular damp quality of coast night air that seeps even into a closed and parked car. And beneath that, fainter, the warmth smell of the sleeping bag itself, of a small enclosed space held close and still for hours. The skin of your forehead knows it too. The tip of your nose. The slight exposure of your cheekbones above the bag's folded edge, all of it registering the cool air with a mild and familiar attentiveness, the kind of attention that requires no response. The rest of you is warm, your back pressed into the mattress. The warmth has been there so long that it no longer feels like something arriving. It is simply the temperature of rest itself, patient where it is. You do not move. Once, briefly, the dark above the skylight changes, not a brightness. Not what you would call a light. More like the cloud thins somewhere above the water. Barely, just enough that what lies behind it can suggest itself through the glass as a faint diffuse silver. The color of moonlight when it reaches cloud it cannot penetrate, pale and spread so thin it is almost not there at all. It moves across the frame from one side toward the other, slowly, and then the cloud closes again and the dark returns to everything it was. There was nothing to do with it. You did nothing. The rain crosses the glass. Your face is cool. The warmth beneath the sleeping bag is undisturbed, patient, gathered, sitting where it has sat all night. Above you, the dark in the skylight is whole, full and settled and layered and resting in the frame without movement. Your breath rises slowly and settles. The dark is whole. In the whole dark, the rain shifts its angle. Not a sudden change, a gradual turning somewhere above the Layby, the way storms reorient themselves over open water without announcement, and the sound of the rain redistributes itself across the surfaces of the car. Less now against the roof directly above you, more against the rear windows behind your head, finding the glass there at a slightly different slant and running down it in a slightly lower, more diffuse texture of sound. Not louder, not quieter. Just from a different direction, pressing now where it was not pressing before. Nothing else changes. The warmth beneath the sleeping bag does not change. The darkness inside the car does not change. Only the rain rearranges itself across the surfaces. And within moments even this is simply the sound the night makes. Unremarkable, continuous, already familiar. They were already heavy. And now they are heavier still, not closed, perhaps, or very nearly, the border between open and closed no longer easy to locate from the inside. The car around you, what little of it is visible in the dark, is where it has always been. Not one thing in it is moving. Not one thing in it needs any watching. Your eyes close. Not at any particular moment. Not with any decision behind it. More as though they stopped maintaining the small and quiet effort of being open, and the dark that was outside becomes the dark that has always been behind them, and the two are close enough to the same that the difference is hard to name. What remains is warmth. The warmth beneath the sleeping bag, and the warmth of the mattress beneath that, and the warmth that is simply the long-resting body, all of it gathered and continuous. It is the most present thing now. Not because anything about it has changed, but because with eyes closed and the rain settling into its new angle and the skylight no longer above your open gaze, the warmth is simply what is left. You feel it along your back, where the mattress holds you and your own heat has gathered into the fabric over the long, still hours. You feel it along your sides, where the sleeping bag has conformed to the shape of you. You feel it across the full and quiet length of you, low and even, going nowhere. It does not move. It is simply what the body is, resting. And then, without instruction, without any seeking or deciding, the warmth becomes something that can almost be seen. It arrives the way color sometimes arrives behind closed eyes, not placed there, not summoned, but present as a natural extension of what is already there, the warmth taking on a quality it has always had without ever needing a name for it before. Amber. Soft, deep amber. The color of light held inside something warm and thick, the color of afternoon seen through a candle's glass, of honey set in a low window. It sits in the body, not above you, not outside you, in you, distributed through the sleeping bag's warmth and the mattress's warmth and the quiet warmth that is the body itself, spread along the long, still shape of you, unhurried. It does not travel anywhere. It does not pulse or shift or arrive from somewhere. It is simply there, the color of the warmth that was already there, sitting inside you with the same patient quality the warmth has always had. The rain presses softly against the rear windows at its turned angle. You can hear it from behind the amber from a little distance, as though the amber has gathered its own quiet around it. The rain does not disturb what is behind your closed eyes. It is simply the sound of outside, going about the night, belonging to the night. Your breath goes in, slowly, and the amber rises very slightly with it, not changing color, not brightening, simply present inside the slow expansion of the chest, moving as warmth moves through a thing that is already warm. And then the breath settles, and the amber settles with it, and the whole of you settles back into the mattress and the sleeping bag and the dark. In again, slowly. The amber is there where it has always been, out again. The amber settles. You are still beneath the sleeping bag. The rain finds the rear windows at its new angle, soft and continuous, pressing gently, going on with itself. The amber sits in the dark behind your closed eyes, in the warmth of the body, quietly, spread through the length and weight of you, in the sleeping bag, in the mattress, in the stillness of the body simply resting. In, slowly, out. The amber remains. Chapter 9. A light slowly moving. The amber is still there, behind the closed eyes. Still the same amber, not bright, only soft and warm, spread through the dark of the closed eyes in the warmth of the body. The rain continues against the rear windows, soft and steady, going on with its own slow work against the glass at the same unhurried angle it has kept for some time now. The sleeping bag is still around you. The mattress is still beneath you. The night outside is long, and none of it requires anything. There is a warmth now at the soles of your feet. Perhaps it was always there, only now you are still enough to notice it. Gathered below the soles, the way warmth gathers in the last hour of a fire, when only the embers remain, when the flame has settled entirely, and what is left is only the glow, not bright, not searching, only present. No brighter than a single candle held perfectly still in still air. Only warm. Only that. You let it be there. The soles of your feet, which have been still for some time, soften a little in the awareness of it. Something releases in the arch of each foot, small, unnamed, something you were not aware you were holding. The toes are already still, and in the warmth they settle a little more completely against each other in the sleeping bag. The warmth begins to rise, not rushing, not pulling, only moving the way a change in light moves on a clouded afternoon. You cannot watch it happening. You can only notice that something has become slightly different than it was a moment before. Up through the ankles, which settle a small degree further into the mattress beneath them. Up through the shins, the skin along the bone, and the rounded softness of the calves. And where the warmth has passed, the legs are heavier than they were. Already settled. Already somewhere past, needing to find comfort. The rain is on the rear glass, steady and soft and low and unchanged. The warmth moves through the knees, through the small hollow behind each knee and rises into the thighs. The thighs have been still against the mattress for a long while, and they are more still now as the warmth moves through them, the sleeping bag resting on them, the mattress receiving their weight, and the warmth goes all the way through to where the thighs rest against the bed. Heavy. There is nowhere for them to go and nothing left for them to do. You do not need to do anything for this. You are already here. Already in the van, in the sleeping bag, in the night, in the soft continuous sound of the rain. Already warm, already resting. The warmth only follows where the rest has gone. It reaches the hips now. The pelvis settles a little wider against the mattress. A release so quiet you might only half notice it before it is already complete. The lower back finds its last small degree of ease and gives it to the mattress, which holds it without comment. The warmth gathers across the lower back, along both sides, and pools there for a moment before it continues. The way warmth always pools first in the widest places, in the places with the most to hold. Out of the rain, a small shift, the water finding a slightly new line across the rear glass, a change in the sound so gentle it barely lands before it has already gone. Then the rain settles again to exactly what it was. The warmth rises through the abdomen, the sides, the spaces between the ribs, which open and close slowly with the breath, and are very still between the breaths. The warmth moves through the spaces that breathing opens, and as each breath leaves the body, the warmth fills a little further in, rests in what the out-breath has made room for. Ribs settling. The whole middle of the body going quieter than it already was. The chest is warm now. The sleeping bag rests on the chest, and the warmth rests inside it, and the breath moves through it, all slowly, low and slow, in and out, and between the out-breath and the next in-breath, there is a long and very ordinary pause in which nothing at all is happening, in which there is only the warmth and the weight and the amber that is still there behind the closed eyes. In, slowly, out. The soles of the feet are warm and still. The long weight of the calves and the thighs, warm and still. The hips, the lower back, the abdomen, warm and still. The ribs and the chest, warm and still. All of it sunk into the mattress, into the sleeping bag, into the van, into the night and the rain that continues on the other side of the glass as softly as it always has, going on and on, going on while you rest. Chapter 10. The storm's long patience. The rain continues. That is the whole of it. Really, the rain continuing on the roof and the rear windows, and the Layby beneath, continuing out over the water that is somewhere beyond the dark, beyond the glass, beyond anything visible from in here. Continuing the way storms continue, without agenda, without hurry, without any particular destination. Only the rain doing what rain does, for as long as it takes. At some point it grows slightly heavier. You notice it only as a gentle deepening in the sound. More water on the roof now, a fuller register, a rounder presence in the air of the van. Not loud, only fuller. The warmth in the sleeping bag has not changed. The mattress beneath you has not changed, only the rain, finding its way into a slightly deeper cadence going on. You are very still, the breath moves in, long and slow and low in the body. The abdomen softens on the exhale, out, and then there is a pause, a long and very ordinary pause between the out-breath and the next in-breath. And in that pause, nothing happens, and nothing needs to. The rain lightens again, or perhaps it only seems to. In the stillness of the van, in the warmth, with the closed eyes and the weight of the body already sunk into the mattress, the difference between heavier rain and softer rain becomes very small. Both are soft, both are continuous. Both go on without you having to attend to them at all. The air is warm going in. Out, slowly, the ribs settle, the abdomen releases, and then the pause. Longer than you might expect, longer than you would have counted if you had been counting. The quiet stillness where the body simply rests between breaths, not waiting for anything, only resting, the rain on the roof. The warmth held in the sleeping bag. The long dark of the night outside going on in all directions, over the Layby, over the water, over the coast, and beyond it, the storm doing its patient work across the whole of the dark. A thought arrives somewhere, at a great distance. You are aware of it, the way you are aware of a light in a window far down a hillside. Present, but not requiring you to go toward it. It does not develop into anything. It does not ask to be followed. It is simply there for a moment, and then it is less there, and then it has gone wherever thoughts go when the distance between them has grown long enough. In the breath arrives on its own, slow and low, already partway through by the time you have half noticed it beginning. The rain shifts again, slightly heavier over the roof, slightly softer against the side windows. The way rain falls differently on different surfaces, even in the same moment, not changing, only being rain, falling the way it falls, going on. The pause after the outbreath lengthens a little. Naturally, without effort, without any intention behind it. The body simply taking the time it takes, finding the space it finds. In the pause, the rain is there. It goes on. But you are not exactly listening to it anymore. You are receiving it the way the roof of the van receives it, passively, warmly, without any particular response. The warmth is still present through the body, not noticed as warmth exactly now, only as a kind of given, a baseline temperature, the way things simply are when enough time has passed and everything that was going to settle has settled. And then the long pause, the pause in which the rain continues and the van sits still and the night goes on over the Layby and the water and the coast. Patient as only a storm can be patient, in no hurry at all, with all the time there is. The breath comes again on its own. You do not need to wait for it. The rain is heavier for a moment, and then softer, and then somewhere in between, and the difference is very small, and the warmth does not change, and the dot does not change, and you are already very far from needing anything to be different than it is. The rain goes on. The warmth remains. Chapter 11. Only the rain, only the dark. The rain is on the roof. That is the only thing that changes now, and even that changes slowly, a gathering here, a softening there, a moment where the sound seems to hold on one low and steady note before releasing into something fractionally quieter, fractionally nearer the far edge of silence without ever quite reaching it. It is simply present, the way the dark is present above the skylight, the way the warmth beneath the sleeping bag is present. Continuous, undemanding, asking nothing of you and needing nothing from you in return. You are not anywhere except here. The breath moves. It does not require your attention to move. It rises from somewhere deep, from somewhere slow, unhurried in the way that very still breathing is unhurried. And then it falls, and at the end of the falling there is a pause, not an emptiness, not an absence, simply a stillness in which the rain continues and the warmth continues and the dark above continues, and nothing at all is being asked of you. And then the next breath arrives on its own, without your having reached for it, simply beginning. The warmth is beneath you and all around you. It does not have edges that you can find. It does not have a name tonight, only a quality, the settled. Even quality of a sleeping bag that has held the shape of your body for a long time now, that has taken your heat in and returned it steadily, that will go on returning it through the rest of the night, whether you think about it or not. There is an amber warmth somewhere low in the chest, not a color you are seeing, not something placed there deliberately, more a quality that has been there for a long time now. The way a coal holds warmth after the fire is settled, quietly and without effort, without needing to be maintained. The breath moves around it slowly. In and the warmth is there, unchanged. Out and the warmth remains, unchanged. The rain on the roof and the amber warmth in the chest, these are the only two things remaining now, and they ask nothing of each other, and they ask nothing of you. The dark above the skylight is complete. You cannot see through it, and there is nothing to see, and this is entirely right. Rain moves through the dark, invisible, and leaves only its sound on the glass. A low and continuous sound, neither loud nor especially soft, simply steady, a sound you hear the way you hear your own breath, already woven into the silence, already part of where you are, unremarkable and right. Your attention drifts through the warmth very slowly, without purpose, the way water moves through a familiar channel without needing to be directed. The weight of the sleeping bag across your shoulder, your back against the mat, which has not shifted, the softness of the pillow at your cheek, the warmth gathered gently behind your knees, along your sides, pooled at the place where your hands rest together, quiet and still. All of this was arranged a long time ago. It arranged itself without you, and it will hold itself through the rest of the night without requiring anything further from you. In, slowly, out. The pause at the end of the breath is wide and unhurried, long enough that the rain fills it from edge to edge, long enough that you have almost stopped expecting the next breath, and then the next breath comes. The warmth in the chest does not grow, and it is not something you are holding or producing. It is simply there, the same quiet presence in each breath as in the last, neither requiring the moment ahead nor depending on the moment behind. Like the warmth of the sleeping bag around you, it simply continues. The rain gathers for a moment, a low, soft rush crossing the roof, and then settles again into something quieter and slower, and the quieter sound is what remains, and you are already past the point of measuring the difference. The dark holds everything still, the warmth holds everything still. The breath goes in and out, and the pause is long, and the rain continues in the pause, and then the breath comes again without any effort at all. The rain is outside, the warmth is inside. That is all there is, and it is enough. Chapter 12. The rain continues. The rain continues. It has been continuing for a long time now, outside the glass, over the Layby, over the water somewhere beyond. Falling in no hurry and with no intention, it falls because it falls. It does not know that you are here, and it does not need to know, and there is something very quiet in that. Something very gentle about being simply inside while the rain goes on outside, about having no part to play in any of it, about not being needed at all. The rain has no opinion about where you are. It continues regardless. And this is entirely right. The breath. In, out, the pause between is open and wide, as long as it needs to be, not hurried, not shortened, simply lasting until the next breath is ready, and then the next breath comes gently on its own, without any effort from you. Your body is entirely still. You are not aware of its edges with any clarity now. The place where the sleeping bag ends, and the cool air of the car begins, is a line you stopped noticing a long time ago. The place where your back rests against the mat has become simply where you are, and the warmth has settled through all of it, evenly and without effort. And there is no part of you that is cold, and no part of you that is tense, and the warmth itself is very still. It may be softer than before, or perhaps you have grown softer alongside it, so that the rain's quietness and your own have met somewhere and become the same thing. It does not matter which is true. A thought begins somewhere, something about the rain, perhaps, or about the dark outside the glass, or about the storm that came and settled into this, and it forms for a moment, and then softens at its own edges before it arrives anywhere, and then it is simply gone, and the rain continues, and the warmth continues. Another breath. Very slow. The warmth is all through you now. Not only low in the chest, through the shoulders, through the back, along the legs, gathered into all of it quietly and without effort. You are not doing anything to hold it there. It simply is there, and it will remain. You have not moved for a long time now. There is no reason to move. The breath rises, a movement so small it is almost not a movement, a slight lifting somewhere deep in the chest. And then it settles again, long and gradual, and the rain continues during the settling, steady and unhurried, continuing its own account of things which has nothing to do with you. The rain on the roof. The pause opens. Long. The rain fills the pause, soft and continuous, and you are somewhere inside the pause, very still, and then the breath comes in again, gently, from somewhere very far down, and the warmth does not shift, and then the breath goes out, and the pause opens again, as long as before, or a little longer. Another thought begins, very small, and dissolves before it is finished, something about stillness, or about rain, or about the dark, or perhaps about nothing at all, barely a shape, and then no shape, and the rain continues, and this is entirely fine, and there is nothing here that needs to be held on to. The dark above, still, the rain, still, the breath, in, the pause, wide and soft. The rain is there in the pause, far away and also very near, both at once, and neither distance needs resolving. Out. Slowly. The warmth, which is simply what the inside of you feels like now, which has no edges and no name and asks nothing. Which holds everything without effort. Another breath comes, very quiet, and then a pause, and the pause is longer than the one before. And in that pause there is nothing to do and nothing to wait for and nothing to hear except the rain, which is there, which has always been there, which will be there long after, continuing on its own. The breath, soft, the rain, outside, soft, still there. The breath comes in very gently and settles, and the pause opens wide, and the rain continues, and if you have a favorite journey from these nights, leave it in the comments. It helps me know where to take you next.